Hello, everybody. Welcome to the May Cube League Draft. I'm here with Connor. Connor, how are you doing?
Doing well. How about you?
Doing well. And what you see before you is actually a mutant draft. So basically, how the evolution requirements work here, it's going to be like type Pokemon evolve from like type. So a basic dark type will evolve from stage 1 dark type. So like you see Shiftry EX here, that can evolve from any dark stage 1, doesn't have to be a Nuzleaf. So it creates a really interesting atmosphere. We see all sorts of crazy, wonky decks here. You're going to see a lot of different Pokemon making up the contents of all these cube decks. So if you see like a bunch of Pokemon that don't evolve from each other normally, and you're thinking, why is that all here? That doesn't make any sense. Just know that they are different evolution rules. So this has been a very different take on the Cube League itself. We haven't really done a style like this. Connor, what are your thoughts on Mutant? What kind of aspect do you think it brings to the Cube League this time around?
Yeah, I think this cube is awesome. It makes decks really interesting, very unique. You have a lot of Pokemon in here where the lines aren't good enough to run because there are not enough good cards, but lots of interesting things that you can do with them. So, gonna be very excited to see what these players come up with. Drafting this cube is very difficult, and this is also something that we have not done in Cube League before. We have never done a mutant cube, so very excited overall to see how players go about this.
Yeah, and it looks like they're already on their way. So what's going to happen if for anyone who's new to Cube is that each time each player is going to be passed a set number of pack. I believe they're all size of 14. And they're going to take a card that they want, and they're going to put it into what's called their draft pool, which are cards they're going to be building decks with at the very end. So they're all going to be basically forming strategies around what they see on the fly. And it looks like the first person we're looking at is Icewarda. He's taking himself a Steven's Advice, which is a very powerful supporter. Connor, do you think I didn't get a good look at the first pack. Did that look like the best card in the pack, or do you have any thoughts on that?
I didn't get a stellar look at it. I looked across it and didn't think that anything amazing stood out. Steven's Advice, absolutely powerhouse of a supporter, probably one of the best supporters ever made, and that is no different in this cube. So Steven's Advice, fantastic first pick from Icewarda, no disagreement there. Looks like he's going for an Evo Soda next year. I do really, really highly prioritize Evolution Search in this cube because you need so many evolutions. And a lot of the time, being able to get into the right evolution at the right time is game defining. So Evo Soda, excellent pickup here. Wouldn't mind a level ball pickup instead, just because it is more versatile. You have the basic search capability, and a lot of evolutions in this cube do come in at that 90 or below HP mark. So most of the time, you're going to be able to kind of interact with that and play with the HP levels and be able to make your level ball both a basic and an evolution search. But both cards are excellent pickups here. Andrew, would you go for anything else in this pack, do you think?
No, I definitely agree. I think Evo Soda is probably one of the strongest picks, although the level ball is kind of nice because I feel like a lot of Pokemon fall below the 90 HP as well, so it is kind of a basic and evolution search, but definitely think Evo Soda definitely fulfills that role. It can also grab EXs, which is pretty big. So, nope, I think it's a great pick right off the bat.
Yeah, very nice. The only other card that I would really consider here is Holen's Magneton. These Holen's Pokemon are in pretty short supply in this cube, and they're very, very powerful, especially because you can take advantage of some attackers with really clunky attack costs, things like Lugia EX, with the Holen's Pokemon. So being able to open that, and they are also very, very nice if you're playing a deck with 2 or more types, just because they can allow you to fulfill like multiple energy colors, and that's always really nice. But no disagreement on the Evo Soda. I think it's a great pick. Any expectations here?
Yeah, so it looks like we're sort of not really seeing a bunch of stand-up pieces. I'm really curious to see if he's going to keep taking consistency. Usually, as you're going through these, usually kind of take where the draft sort of leads you. So you look for a certain build around. It looks like he's going for the Celebi, which is pretty strong basic for the grass types, allowing it to accelerate to itself on the first turn for free attack. So maybe he's looking at grass. Maybe he's got a few ideas after looking at the cube of what kind of things he wants to take. I don't know. What are your thoughts, Connor?
Yeah, I do really like Celebi in the grass line, and I was thinking that if you wanted to pick a Pokemon, then Weezing and Celebi would be the two to take here. Weezing is really nice spread on a stage 1. It can set your opponent up for a lot of knockouts, and Celebi is probably the most aggressive grass basic there is, which is awesome. Being able to get those energy in play is fantastic. So very interesting there. But I could also see a Scientist, a Karina, weakness policy. EXP share is also an addition to this cube, so it's had EXP all before the poor version of EXP share. I do like EXP share a lot. I think it can allow you to get by without an accelerator, although most lines will have an accelerator, making EXP share a lot less necessary.
Yeah, I could see that. I think the acceleration is definitely an important aspect that you want in your deck because Decks can move pretty slow without it, and you want to make sure that you're attacking consistently through every turn. So can't really undervalue the amount of importance you need to put on getting multiple energy out as fast as you can. This pack seems I mean, there's definitely some good search in here. I don't know if there's any basic Pokemon he's going to be looking at. The Cleffa, though, is pretty nice. I feel like the colorless Pokemon kind of put a high premium just because of their value for search as well as draw, but they're also evolving basics can be really strong as well. I don't know how you feel about those kind of cards in this cube.
Yeah, I agree. The Cleffa is a pretty standout pick here to me just because it does have the consistency element that it would in a normal deck, but then it can also evolve into a colorless Pokemon. After that, and a lot of the colorless lines in this cube are very, very powerful support. It actually goes for the Ordinary Rod here. I don't hate this card. It is a very nice recovery card, just being able to get 2 Pokemon and 2 energy back into the deck. Recovery, especially in a mutant cube like this, is at a super, super premium because recycling the best cards in your deck is always very powerful. And with mutant, a lot of the time, you are going to have the ability to use them if you can draw into them. I do think I would still like the Cleffa here, but I don't think Icewarda has played this cube before, so he may not be quite as familiar with how powerful and prevalent the colorless lines tend to be.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. And that's something that I think I had to draft this cube a few times to really get my head around, because the thing with Mutant that makes it so difficult is that there's tons of options for each line, and you're looking at cards in a different way. So there's a bunch of stage 1s, like the Persian with Prowl, for instance. That's like basically take a card out of your deck, put it in your hand. It's a card I definitely wouldn't have thought about without drafting a Mutant Cube before. But now that I have, it's cards like that really make me consider more of these really important basics like Cleffa to get you into those types of consistency.
Yeah, definitely. So excited to see what this next pack holds. This one's not great. Roxy is a decent supporter if you have the recovery for it. Taking the Ordinary Rod definitely does open him up to take this Roxy and make it a really powerful supporter in his deck. Piers is very, very nice if he wants to go toward Dark, but it's a lot less versatile than some of the other options in this pack. And Scientist is probably the option that I would go with as well because it is very versatile. It pairs with the Holen Engine, and it's just a nice supporter. A lot of the time, Scientist is going to net you 3 or more cards. Sometimes it nets you like 10 cards, and it's just a very nice card. So I do like the Scientist pickup here as well. How about you? Anything else that you see in this pack?
So I also agree. I like the Holland Scientist because there's quite a bit of Holland's Transceiver in the cube, which makes these Holland's supporters very searchable. And when you get them early, so once you see them a little bit down the line and you have Holland's supporters so you can play with it, makes it a lot easier decision to play it. I also agree, compared to the other draw supporters in this pack, I mean, it's pretty much on par. Roxy is pretty good. It is going to allow him to draw a lot of cards. I do like the Holland just because it gives you the option to play the Transceivers later, and I think that's very important when you're trying to build a consistency within your deck.
Yeah, starting with the Holen supporters and getting into the Transceivers to me is a lot more attractive than getting into the Transceivers and then finding your Holen supporters, because the Holen supporters are good enough to take on their own, but the Transceivers are really not. They don't do anything if you don't have the Holen core. So I do like to see that pick up first. This pack's very interesting. I think my pick here is Steelix EX. Just a very, very powerful stage 1. Metal is a great type in this cube. You have a lot of options with the Delta box, especially. You can evolve that into basically every single type in the cube. Miss Magius is also a very nice card. Being able to move a psychic energy around is super relevant in psychic decks. And Surprise Time Machine, also a very nice tech option there. Allows you to do lots of really sneaky stuff because this is mutant. You have way more options to go into than you normally would in a cube. And Surprise Time Machine is a very good card normally. So, Andrew, what would your pickup here be?
So I really like Surprise Time Machine in this cube. I feel like it's been pretty undervalued from what I've seen. I think the ability to go into whatever different stage that you want as a mutant draft is very important. And if you have a line that utilizes maybe a consistency type and then you want to go into more of an attacking type, that works great. Or if you have maybe one that's more accelerant based and you want to go into an attack, that's also a fine strategy. Also allows you to reuse certain evolving abilities, which can be really strong. So I see a lot of value for Time Machine. I think it also plays into a lot of different strategies. So you could also build your deck around it early if you see them. There's quite a few in the draft too. The Steelix definitely I really like because of that bench sniping ability. That discard 2 doing 100 is definitely strong. I'm sure LBS decks remember this kind of card, being able to just basically threaten anything on the board. And you can build around it early now that you see it. I'm not seeing a lot of other standout cards that I'm really interested in. I mean, Miss Magius is really nice. I'm always scared for Psychic in this draft because they are very contested. Psychic's basics are, by and large, really strong compared to other basics, so you actually don't know if you're going to be able to find other types. So I think for me, I'd be taking the Surprise Time Machine or the Steelix, probably the Surprise Time Machine, because I tend to find that card useful in a lot of different decks in this cube.
Yeah, I think I lean toward the Steelix here just because Metal is such a versatile type in this cube. Steelix on its own is an amazing card, and basic or stage ones that have a lot of HP and do really powerful things, I think, are at a premium in this cube because it allows you to get aggressive a lot faster. He actually takes the Pokénav there. I really don't like that pick. It is a decent like support option. You know, it can help you comb through your deck. And he's clearly prioritizing consistency here. My guess is, given the early Celebi pickup, he may be just super focused on like grass, and that would mean that Steelix is not nearly as appealing of an option because not exactly an easy Pokemon to use in grass. Although with the Holdens Pokemon in the first pack, it would have been pretty doable with Energy Trans. But either way, the Pokénav it's a decent trainer card, but it seems like Icewarda might have an idea in his head of what he wants to draft already.
So something I also want to bring up, and it's kind of a trap that I feel like a lot of people fall into, is that just because he has a Celebi doesn't mean he really has enough pieces to know for sure if grass is really the direction he's going. Given his situation, I could definitely see taking the Steelix in that case because it is a good build around card. It has a really strong attack. You can definitely build a deck around it to make it work, especially this early. So that maybe I would have rather seen him take that to maybe have some direction to his draft because right now he's kind of floating. It's fine. It's like the first pack, so you don't have to know what you're playing yet. But if you're trying to play around, I'm not really too interested in the metal type because I enjoy Dr. Grass Basic. You're really limiting your options. So one line of thinking I would have probably preferred, and hopefully maybe we'll see it in future drafts is like, okay, where are my linchpin cards? Where are my really strong build around cards? And maybe I'll start leaning towards those and getting those early so I can start finding strategies that work around those particular cards instead of trying to take for instance, the grass basics now and then hoping that the really good grass stage shoes come around later, but they might already get drafted. It's an 8-person draft, so it's really hard for cards to wheel. I'm hoping it looks like he's staying pretty open, but hopefully we'll see maybe some sort of gravitation towards a few maybe like stronger, more eye-catching cards in the future drafts.
Yeah, Solid Rage, not a bad pickup here. I was interested to see both the Honchkrow and the Dark Patch in the last pack, and there was another stage 2, wasn't there, that was quite good. Seems like Icewarda really just likes Pokénav as a card.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind. I would rather have Pokénav wheel into me rather than just take it early because I find the Pokénav is great when you have an engine for it. So basically, you have Macargo or you have some sort of way to stack cards on top, and you can also manipulate the top of your deck. But I mean, the 3 cards on top in Cube, I mean, it's hard to say whether you're going to actually hit that. You're going to hit the exact things that you need to hit. So I like it better if you have an engine to play it. I don't find it to be one of the stronger search cards in this cube, especially when it's on par with stuff like Luxury Ball, Ultra Ball, even Great Ball or Nest Ball in this cube is going to be really strong. So I'm kind of leaning elsewhere. I would have probably taken the Power Plant in this instance because that ability to cut off EX's abilities is really strong, especially if it doesn't bother you at all. You're also cutting off Poke bodies, which is something that not a lot of things do in this cube. So a Power Plant's a good stadium. It's a good way to manipulate other people's board states. So I don't know. I kind of would lean towards the Power Plant here.
Yeah, Power Plant's nice. I don't know if I love it when I'm totally open, but it is a really powerful tool to be able to take advantage of. I love both the Meganium and the Ludicolo in this pack. They both have some very, very nice attacks and bodies and powers. So the Ludicolo deals 30 additional damage if the opponent has any EX in play, which is almost all the time in this cube. So the attacks become 2 for 60, discard a random card, and 3 for 90, which is an amazing rate on a non-EX. And then Meganium has Delta Reduction 2 for 40, the defending Pokemon deals less damage, and Mega Impact 3 for 60. Both of those are also great attacks. 3 for 60 is pretty at rate in this cube. But the power is Evolutionary Call, which allows you to search your deck for 3 Pokemon and put them into your hand when you evolve into Meganium. So not only does it have 2 good attacks, but it also basically sets up your whole board when you evolve into it. So would really like to see that pickup as well.
Yeah, especially like this late in the pack, like those are pretty safe pickups, and you know that if other people have already seen them and like they're passing on them early, you have pretty good odds that okay, maybe those lines, no one's really into those lines yet, so you're pretty safe.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely would be looking at the Fighting and Fire lines for being, at least at this point in the draft, more open because those stage 2s are very good. All right, seeing this next pack here, Mysterious Treasure would be a signal to me that Psychic probably has not been heavily invested in, although we do know that there are Psychic cards down pack. Things like Miss Magius that people might decide to move on to Psychic for because that effect is very powerful. However, given what we've seen so far, I do like the Mysterious Treasure here. Reverse Valley is a really nice stadium, especially if you're so open. Both the Metal and the Dark Side are great. And Cynthia's Guidance is an okay supporter. Meteor Falls is an interesting card, but it's only really good in some lines. It's great in like colorless heavy decks because you can use super powerful basics like Lugia as evolving basics, and then you can drop a Meteor Falls and go crazy. You do have to be a little bit careful with Meteor Falls because an EX Pokemon can't use attacks or can't use the card. But if the basic is an EX, then the attack can be used. So interesting interaction there. Maybe he has some thoughts in mind about how he wants to use Meteor Falls because there are tons and tons of different ways that you can use the card.
Yeah, it's interesting to note that maybe for people who aren't familiar with the era, that EX stipulations are pretty common amongst a lot of powerful cards in this cube. So cards like cards like Scramble Energy or Double Rainbow only work when they're not do not work on EX Pokemon. So you have to be very careful with how you're building your deck and what cards you put in there, because if you don't read that carefully, you could easily put yourself in a disaster spot if you're trying to build your deck around some of these powerhouses.
Wow, I would be on dark. I would be on dark in this draft. If I was in Ice Sword, just because that Tyranitar is very good. 140 HP non-EX is really nice. Payback's a solid attack for low energy, and Ground Burn is just nuts damage for the energy cost. Yeah, it's expensive, but there are ways that you can accelerate that energy, like Top Accelerator Tyranitar, Top Accelerator, or Crush Draw Wall Rain. There are different dark accelerators just throughout the cube, things like Dragonite and Dark Electrode combo very nicely. So I would take that Tyranitar and run with it and just be on dark, because we've seen so many dark Pokemon and powerful dark cards come around. It's pretty painfully obvious, I would say, at this point that dark is at least open at this point in the draft. However, somebody past Ice Sworda might see that as well and move on to it.
Yeah, good call out. I mean, that's definitely something you want to be looking for in the draft. You're looking for signals, and a good signal is like powerful cards like the Tyranitar not getting taken. Is definitely your cue to be start looking at that line more and like, okay, well, if no one's taking this, then maybe that's where I should jump on, because you don't want to be in the middle of the line someone else is taking, just because it's gonna cut you off of the exact cards you would need to build that line successfully. So always a good idea to to read the field, read and see what other people are looking at, and see if you can kind of get in their heads a little bit by the cards that you see pass to you. So a little bit of a mind game, a little bit of a psychology aspect, which is one of the really unique aspects that Cube brings to Pokemon, because while this is still the Pokemon TCG, this is another aspect on top of it besides just game mechanics that you have to really excel at to perform well.
Yeah, definitely. And one thing that I like too about this Tyranitar is that the ground or the fighting and the dark type Pokemon in this cube line up pretty well. And just in general, dark and fighting Pokemon pair quite nicely, just because fighting Pokemon are very often weak to Psychic. Dark types often resist Psychic, so you can kind of play to that strength against each other. That just a little tidbit after that. After this pack, I think we'll probably switch to another drafter. Interested to see what everybody else is kind of playing. If you want on these last three picks, since they're not that interesting, we could kind of just hop through everybody.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's see what's going on with Omnipoke's draft.
All right. Omnipoke has a Shiftry EX second pick, but he interestingly passed all of the other dark stuff. Oh, so he took the dark patch. Decided not to go for the Honchkrow, though he might be trying to wheel the Honchkrow. Miss Magia's pickup is also very nice. Just a great card. Moonlight Stadium pairs well with the Psychic and Dark that he's already in. Ultra Ball, Level Ball, EXP Share Cleffa, Warp Point, Cynthia's Guidance are all very nice cards to have in general. So yeah, looks like a nice beginning to a lot of potential drafts here. Dark being the most obvious. But given that he let the Tyranitar through, I'm not quite sure exactly whether he thinks he might pivot now.
And we just see he's picking up the Karate Belt and the Karina, so I mean that's definitely a good starter pack to getting into maybe fighting decks later. Let's go ahead and pass off to Weiss on Ice.
Yeah,
and see what he
good.
has. I see a lot of metal Pokemon, specifically
Yes.
the Jirachi. He did take the Steelix EX, so someone wanted that card. And the Meganium.
Interesting that he took the Piers, and the reverse valley is very good. But so the Piers is also here, which means Omnipoke may have decided that he didn't really want to be on Dark, or maybe he just wants to splash the Shifter EX for the body. It is very good. It's kind of heavy to set up on the bench, especially if you're not really dedicating the line at all, and it synergizes really well with the line. So maybe would like to see a little bit more investment there, but he's staying pretty open so far. This draft from Weiss on Ice is just a really nice start to a metal draft. Interestingly, we don't see any Delta Pokemon with like dual metal typing here. So pretty straight on metal right now, but I think that'll definitely change over the course of the draft.
He did pick up that Ledian that's has the Prowl ability, which I think is nice. The one that allows him to basically evolve and grab any card from his deck. Those are such good consistency boosters, especially in a cube like this where you have so many options available to you that I think having that already in your metal deck is going to be really strong.
Yeah, those cards are extremely nice for sure. All right, let's hop on over to the next tab and see what's
So
going on.
this will be Xander Bennett's draft. So it looks like we see the Ludicolo, the Starmie. It's got a lot of supporter search here, which is nice. Or a lot of he's got quite a few supporters. I spoke too soon.
A lot of utility stuff going
Yeah.
on in this, which not bad by any means. The Ludicolo is a nice strong water attacker with Swing Dance having a consistency element. Ooh, interesting to see what he goes for in this pack. I think a lot of people would probably pick up the admin, but I might go for the Blaziken because it allows you to do lots of cool stuff with fire. He doesn't really seem committed to anything. He seems to kind of just be speculating here and there on the water and the lightning. Although I would actually call Starmie Delta more of a lightning or more of a metal Pokemon because it can accelerate metal energy to itself from the deck, but I don't believe it can accelerate waters. I could be wrong.
No, it accelerates metal to itself.
Yeah, so definitely more of a metal card than a water card, though it can be used in water. He takes the admin here. That's not too surprising. It does mean that Blaziken is probably going to be picked up somewhere downstream, and we are going to see fire kind of close off. But it's not a bad information, or not a bad piece of information to have by any means.
Yeah, I would have definitely been torn. Actually, I would probably have been torn between the Poke Retriever and the Admin, just because Retriever is such good recovery, especially for like Pokemon in this case. Although it's a slower cube, so you can probably get away more with your Holland's Farmers and that kind of thing. I probably would have taken the Admin as well. I think the Admin's really strong. Although I definitely could see arguments for taking the Blaziken because Firestarter is probably one of the best Stage 2 fires that are in this cube. It's going to allow you to basically synergize with any of the fire types in the cube as well, so it gives you a ton of options early.
Yeah, definitely. And fire typing has lots of scary options as far as attackers. So, let's kind of keep hopping through. I'm curious to see what else we're seeing on these other draft tabs.
So now we're in Delon. I hope I'm saying that right. Looks like we see quite a bit of Psychic Pokemon. He's got that Sceptile EX that's really hinders the EX Pokemon with the extra attack cost as well as the negation of Poke Powers.
Yeah, definitely. I do quite like that card. Oh, we see a backup Porygon and a Strong Energy and a Rockets Admin in the same pack.
Talk about a busted pack.
Yeah, I know. I think whoever unpacked this is probably pretty happy because this is the second pack now, but this is the second pick in the pack. So excited to see Porygon 2 pick up here. I am in solid agreement with. Just a great card. Seems like Daylon's kind of still figuring out what's going on as far as their lines are. Some Psychic Pokemon, some Dark Pokemon. Got the one Servine. I don't think that's necessarily indicative of going into Grass. I think it's just probably a card that came pretty late. But interesting. I do love the Cessation Crystal here, and overall, just the quality of the card seems pretty nice. Double Hole and Farmer is interesting, but it could just be that there was nothing better to go after in the pack.
Yeah, it does seem like he's assuming he can get to more Holland Pokemon as well. He's gonna have himself a pretty good Holland engine as well for his if he gets into more Transceivers. The backup Porygon 2 is definitely great because it's gonna allow him to be that much more consistent, and I find having a good search or good draw consistency Pokemon this early in the draft allows you to make more informed decisions, especially when you know how easily you're able to get that kind of Pokemon out. That could be a very center part of how your deck stays consistent in terms of draw, so it can allow you to make other kinds of decisions between what cards you take. So very good pick early on. Very happy to see it.
Yep, I agree. All right, let's hop on over to the next one, see what we've got there.
So next we're going to be looking at Tomo-o. He looks like he is drafting. He's still pretty open, it seems.
Ooh, DCE.
You'll love to see it. Double Colorless is a great card in this format. Lots of Pokemon can use it. I'm sure lots of people who are watching this are very familiar with this type of card. It's great in pretty much any deck that has those multi-colorless requirements. And in this cube, energy, acceleration, and like your tempo is very important. So that's a card that's going to allow you to basically attack a turn sooner than you normally would be. So can't argue with that.
Wow, Tomo-o has actually picked up another DCE in the first pick of this pack. So 2 DCEs back to back. And he's already got the Slacking from Ruby and Sapphire in the draft pool, which is amazing with double colorless energy. Really excited to see how this draft shapes up because it's really an incredible card in anything that can use it. And that's most decks. So definitely want to keep an eye on this tab.
So that Slacking is actually, I think, kind of underrated, it seems. Like, I mean, just being able to shut off your opponent's Poke Powers is just devastating. And if you can set up that critical move at the same time, it can pose really deep threats to your opponent's strategy if they don't plan for it.
Yeah, critical move, really nice damage. Unfortunate that the downside is pretty severe. It essentially ends up being about 50 damage a turn, but it's kind of bursty, so that if your opponent sets up a threat and then you can disrupt their powers with lazy, they might not be able to set something up quickly afterward. But 2 DCE, I'd be ecstatic to be in this seat.
Yeah, he's definitely feeling really good. I'm curious to see what he takes from this pack. There's quite a lot of very interesting stuff. I mean, the Macargo is really nice. You have to have ways to evolve into it. The Copycat's a good supporter. I don't know if it's like one of the best supporters in this cube, but definitely solid nonetheless. You got the Jirachi for evolution shenanigans and a few Kingdras. I don't know. What would you be looking at in this pack?
I think the Magcargo definitely stands out to me as my number one. However, I will say that I like the Breeder's Nurturing as well. I like it a lot more in this cube than I do in others, just because every single Pokemon you have evolves for the most part. I could potentially see a Kingdra EX pickup if he maybe wants to head into the fighting setup, but Strong Energy did go around, or I don't know if Tomo unpacked it or if the person downstream unpacked it, but does decide to go with the Kingdra EX. I would definitely like to see the Magcargo pick up here just because it is such a powerful support option, but Kingdra EX is probably a number 2. Not bad by any means.
Yeah, I mean, Kingdra EX is a solid card, especially because he already has a little bit of fighting to start with, and it's going to help him. I mean, it's got a really nice Pokebody to like lower the damage it's going to take, so that can be very annoying for other decks to deal with.
Yeah, and excellent synergy with DCE, of course.
Of course.
All right, so let's we're getting pretty close to the bottom, so we will be we'll be close to being back to Ice Sword.
All right, so let's hop over to Mike Gibbs' tab. Mike Gibbs is actually one of the co-creators of this cube between him and JL. So he should have a lot of insight on how to draft this cube, and hopefully we'll see a really interesting deck from him. It looks like we see the Muck and the Weezing, so he's already got some grass cards going on there. Looks like he took an admin. He's got pick one, POW hand extension. That's interesting.
Yeah, I am interested by that pickup, but could be that his pack wasn't very strong. I know Mike also really highly prioritizes POW. In this cube, I haven't really loved it. I've played it a couple of times. It's been just okay. But Mike is on a different wavelength a lot of the time, so we will see what comes of that. But very interesting to see that he's picked up a Curse Stone and a Desert Ruins already. So I imagine, knowing Mike, he will be attempting to use those cards to their fullest extent. So he has some very nice non-EX attackers here. The Muck, the Weezing, Breloom, and Ludicolo Delta. No matter what direction Mike decides to go in, all of those are excellent threats on the non-EX side, and they will allow him to take advantage of those stadiums that he's got really easily.
I feel like he's going for a spread deck. I feel like that's like the Mike Gibbs special right now. It's some sort of spread deck, especially when you see the Weezing. It's going to be
the Weezing definitely does play to that. I'll be quite interested to see what happens here. So Mike is definitely another tab to keep an eye on.
Yeah, so I guess we should round out the cast here. Let's move over to Vent's cube. Vent was actually the cube creator of last season or last cube league with the Sun and Moon cube. So a lot of a different taste here now. It's more of a low-powered situation. I'm interested to see what he goes for here.
So I love to see the Feraligatr from Heart Gold Soul Silver. That card's just really good. Spinning Tail is a super strong first attack, 20 damage to all your opponent's Pokemon, and then Surf is a nice secondary. 130 HP on it is it is the second highest HP total in the cube as far as non-EX attackers go. Maybe even just a little bit too strong, but it doesn't run the board on its own usually, but it can if you get it quickly enough. See Quick Ball, Level Ball, Letter, Poland Transceiver, Holland Scientist, Cynthia, Caitlin, Tate, Liza, and a Mentor. So really nice consistency setup so far. I also love the Raichu EX in here. I think Raichu EX is one of the single most powerful stage ones in the cube, being able to target down anything with a power and resisting attacks from EXs, which are super prevalent. So lots of extremely powerful cards in Vent's cube so far, and I will be very excited to see which direction he goes. Looks like he's picking up an Aqua Patch, which indicates to me that he'll probably head in that water direction, although I do like how water and lightning play together in this cube. There are a lot of strong spread attacks in water, a lot of strong spread attacks in lightning. Lightning can also often be more aggressive and kind of buy you time to set up some of your more significant water threats. In addition to the Wall Rain with Crush Draw, allowing the acceleration, and he already has the Mantine Delta to stack those energy on top, actually. So really nice draft shaping up for Vent here.
So it looks like Vent actually has the right shoe, the one above it, the one with Mega Thunderbolt that does the 120, which is still a really solid attack.
It is a very nice card. You definitely need to use it with acceleration, but he's already got the acceleration, so it's still a very nice card. This draft is extremely open just because the Crush Draw, Wall Raid, and Mantine combo can be used with literally any type in the cube. It's one of the only any color acceleration setups. Interested to see this pack that's come to him here. The Blaziken is still live, which means fire is likely not contested. And we do know that looking at everyone else's tabs, very few fire cards have actually been unpacked. It's basically just the Ludicolo and the Flareon. I imagine Mike might be interested in this card. Obviously, it has counter synergy with the Curse Stone, but giving him the ability to accelerate to some of his more aggressive attackers on a non-EX is very nice. For Vent here, we might see one of the water Pokemon picked up if he does decide he wants to head in that direction. I mean, he's going to need it one way or the other for the Wall Rain. I've been liking the Prize Shift Slowking a lot, so I don't dislike this pick in any way. I might go for the Smeargle here just because in this case it can evolve, so it's much less of a trap card than it normally is, but I don't fault him for the Prize Shift Slowking at all. It's just a very nice stage 1. A lot of the time it's going to be 2 for 40 if you have a water energy attached. And the power prize shift often means you're going to be able to put cards from your hand into your prizes that you know you're not going to need, or at least not going to need for a while. And then you can take a prize back. And prize shift also puts the cards into your prizes face up, meaning you're able to take those cards back when you need them and have that certainty of knowledge. So very nice stage 1, and Vent's draft looks to be shaping up very well.
Yeah, it's funny how price shift can be such a powerful ability, especially in a mutant draft where I feel like the strategies are a lot more diverse and you're dealing with a lot more moving pieces. The prizes can definitely be a hindrance, and especially when you are dealing with a bunch of like the spontaneity a cube brings with you. Cards like that, cards like Gladiant also bring a higher premium than they normally would. So definitely can understand taking it, and it's kind of funny to see how these cards shift in value as the format around them changes.
Absolutely. Just lots of interesting things going on so far. We see this pack come to Vent. So the cards that jump out to me are the Celio, which does the same thing as Mantine Delta, would be more assurance for Wall Rain that you're always able to get it off regardless of the contents of your prizes. You've also got the Frogadier with Gale Shuriken, which I think is a nuts stage 2 or stage 1 in this cube. That 20 damage is tremendous in a lot of cases. So would not necessarily want to have to make this decision for Vent right now. It's a pretty tough call. Andrew, which one do you lean toward?
It's really tough. It's hard to figure out which one's the right decision here. It depends on how much he wants to. I feel like with the Frogadier, though, I feel like they're fixing a lot of math with the extra 20. I might just lean towards the Frogadier since you already have the Mantine. The Celio is so, and then you don't have to evolve a basic for the same effect that you have with Mantine. So I think maybe the Frogadier could be a solid choice. But I could definitely see taking the Celio. It's a very hard pick.
Yeah, I hope we see the Frogadier here just because Gale Shuriken is so powerful. The 20 damage in this cube is not insignificant by any means. But we will see. It looks like Vent is having a hard time deciding as well. Definitely can't fault him for that. This is quite the challenge.
I think what I like about Frogadier, thinking about it, is that it's a good Pokemon you can evolve up into Walrein with, because you don't need to necessarily use it after you've used the ability. So it's a good one to evolve, and then, okay, now I'm going to evolve this into my Walrein. Where if you had something like the Celio, you don't really want to evolve that. You really want to keep using power circulation as often as you can to keep accelerating. So maybe that's a justification for the Frogadier, as it gives you more of a good stage 1 option for the Walrein.
Yeah, Vent's still deciding here. It's rough. What's the call, man? What's the call?
Although I feel like this is not a bad situation to be in, because I mean they're both good cards for your draft. You're certainly not hindering your strategy because you're losing one of them. It's just which one's the best one.
Yeah, and your deck is not ruined if you miss either of them.
Right. Is there any way the power? How many cards are left in this pack?
Frogadier. Frogadier is the call. So we have 9 cards left in the pack. So
you're revealing one of them, right?
Yeah, so one of them will come back. It could be the Celio. I know some people downline have had a couple of water cards, but I think Vent has definitely got the largest collection, so interested to see how that goes. This is a really neat pack. Crush Draw Accelerator, or Crush Draw Walrein, or Tyranitar. They're the same card, essentially. They have the same power. I don't think Vent needs it, of course, because he's already got the Wall Rain, but interesting to see that Tyranitar go so late. Seems just like a ton of fire Pokemon in this pack are going around. So he does take the Crush Draw Tyranitar. I don't hate this decision. He's got the Delta Flareon already, so if he decides to go into that, it can be nice. And with the Mantine, if the Wall Rain is prized, easy to go into this other Tyranitar with Crush Draw. I do think it's probably one of the stronger cards in the pack in a vacuum, although I love Retreat Aid Dodrio in this cube. The ability to reduce all your Pokemon's retreat by 2 is so nice. Roast Reveal Ninetales, also an excellent card. I just don't think it really makes sense in this deck, given that it looks like he's going to be headed into like a water lightning-ish direction.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It's funny, like Dodrio does not get a ton of love in the cube space, but this Dodrio with Retreat it actually gives your decks a lot of mobility, which can be very strong, especially when you're bouncing around different powers, different attacks, and maybe you have even like stuff like that Slaking that can't attack between turns. I mean, even though it's retreat and maneuver it around can be very strong. So yeah, definitely a lot of reasons to play cards like that in this cube.
Definitely. All right, so this pack, a lot less exciting. Think we probably see an Oracle pickup if I had to guess. Oracle actually has decent synergy with the Wall Rain as well. If you're not able to find the Mantine for whatever reason, you can Oracle an energy on top, and then that's very nice. Oracle just being a decent supporter as well. If you end up having any Pokemon that can draw you cards, he actually goes for the Bronzor here. Maybe just either considering some metal Pokemon that he might be able to get into. I know the Flareon and the Tyranitar are both metal Pokemon, so maybe he kind of sees that as another line that he wants to go into. Pretty reasonable decision. Oracle is just an okay supporter, and his consistency base is very good so far. I don't think there are a ton of terrible picks in this pack, and there are not a lot of great ones either.
Yeah, I think it's pretty much comes down to. I mean, the Bronzor's a really good basic, so maybe he figures, well, if I get into more metal Pokemon later, maybe that's just a good one to have in a metal deck. And I don't think any card in this pack is particularly impactful for any strategy he's going for here. So I mean, like it feels like pretty open. I don't think there's really I don't want to say there's not really a bad choice, but I mean like it's pretty it's not I don't think it's really going to matter necessarily which one he goes for. I mean it always does matter, but I think at this point I think it's probably at this what he knows for now. I think Bronzor's probably fine.
Yeah, it's I don't know. He's got quite a bit of versatility at this point still. So
Although I probably would have taken the Oracle. I think that's just I mean it's a supporter and it's a good one if you can build around it early and if you have something that can utilize it.
yeah, I think I would have as well. Kingdra here is probably the pickup, at least that I would take, considering he seems to want to be into the metal as much as he does. Another very powerful card in this pack is actually Copycat. I love Copycat in this cube. Been having a lot of success with it, just drawing a lot of cards. Just because in this format, in this pace, there are a lot of bench sitters that draw extra cards, and hands tend to get pretty big. So Copycat, very nice supporter in most stages of the game. Kingdra being the other choice. Dragon Curse is a very powerful power, and both of the attacks on Kingdra are quite nice. They synergize well with the typings that Vent has kind of shown that he's looking into right now. And Kingdra being open is also a good sign. So I am really interested to see if somebody is picking up on all these fire Pokemon being open and kind of moving into that space.
Well, should we go down the line and see if anyone has?
Yeah, let's start the rotation.
Let's go right back to the top with Ice Swordo. I know we were seeing what he was doing earlier. It looks like I'm seeing more yellow and more green. So I see an Ampharos, the Secret Wonders Ampharos. I don't remember which one that one is.
That is the one with jamming.
Jamming. Okay, well that's a very good one to pick up.
Yeah, that is probably the best Ampharos in the cube. Jamming is an extremely powerful ability, so no disagreement with that pickup there. Got the Ninetales from, it says HL, but I think it's probably the HS one. Could you hover over that for just a second?
Yeah, so it looks like that one is the Safeguard Ninetales.
Oh, I forgot the Safeguard Ninetales was in the cube. Right. Okay, so no real signal there. I don't know, this draft overall just seems very open still. There are not a lot of indications one direction or another. I would definitely be looking into that Lightning if I saw that Ampharos there, but Vent has some of the Lightning stuff too, unbeknownst to Icewarda, so interesting to think about, although it doesn't seem like Vent is going to commit toward that, so we could see some more Lightning stuff come through here. But Jamming Ampharos, very powerful card, and definitely one that you would look to have in your deck by the end.
For sure. So moving right along, we're going to be looking at Omnipoke's draft. We see he picked up the Macargo. It looks like he's got that Flygon EX.
Flygon EX. Yeah, I think we probably both looked at that card immediately. The Flygon EX Delta, such a powerful body, such a powerful attack, just a very nice card. and not one that I'm surprised. Omnipoke definitely tries to build around like a couple of very powerful cards in the drafts that I've seen him do, and this Flygon is no exception to that. In addition to having the Miss Magius already being an excellent Psychic Pokemon, so looks like we could see some Psychic inclination in this draft. And with the Moonlight Stadium already, I don't see really any issue with that. Got a couple of high pick Hoenn energies. I wonder if he's got some plans with that, but dual wall strong energy, still pretty open draft, but I definitely think he's going to be looking out for the Psychic Pokemon more than others at this point because the Flygon is just so strong.
I think what also helps the Flygon too is that it has no weakness, so you're pretty much safe playing it into anything. It's not gonna get one shot by anything in the cube necessarily.
Yeah, you are always going to have the ability to use it, which is very nice.
All right, so chugging right along, and we're gonna be looking at Ice on Ice's draft. Seeing quite a bit of fighting.
Wow, that Blaziken is still there.
Yeah, and I'm sure it was all his metal Pokemon in his draft. He's probably happy to see that. The fire types are not getting taken if he's still planning on taking metal. Although we do see the Togetic pickup. How do you feel about Togetic? I don't. It looks like it's the one that copies Deltas from the bench. So I mean, if you have a strategy that maybe you're trying to punish other Delta Pokemon, it could be good. Could copy cards like Flygon EX, potentially. So, although I'm surprised he's not taking the Tropius if he's still leaning towards metal Pokemon.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Tropius and the Exeggutor too, because there's a pretty significant fighting inclination here now too, with two fighting stage 2s and a stage 1. Hariyama's pretty strong stage 1. So I would definitely expect the Exeggutor or Tropius. Exeggutor's Delta Circle is not a great attack in this cube because it's hard to assemble a board full of Deltas, but Split Bomb is pretty nice, being able to deal 30-30.
It looks like it's going to be Togetic he's taking. Which is fine. I mean, Delta Copy is a very fine attack. My only concern would be he doesn't quite have a way to evolve it. So Togetic will need to grab a Water Basic to evolve it. So it seems kind of like a waste in this respect. I don't think you really have any, unless you're planning on it being part of your strategy. So I mean, I don't really know what he's thinking as far as what game plan he's going for. But interested to see where that goes.
Yeah, it could be that he's identified some powerful water Pokemon that he wants to have options for. So Caitlyn pickup here pretty clear.
Yeah, I think this pack's pretty much straightforward. Let's keep checking along and see what Xander Bennett is at.
So looks like Xander is also very open, almost alarmingly open. Only 5 Pokemon in the whole draft pool so far, and Joe Bernard is in a similar boat as well. So these players have really not committed to much. Xander on the Kabutops, Togedemaru, Jolteon Star, but this is definitely going to conflict with some of the other drafters. Ice Warrior with that Jammy Ampharos. We saw Vent pick up a couple of cards. So Lightning is kind of being pulled in a lot of different directions, and it seems like Xander has kind of checked out of Ludicolo and Starmie. So could end up hurting him pretty significantly by the end of the draft if he doesn't decide to pivot off of this type.
Oh, he is picking up your favorite Dodrio.
I do love me some Dodrio. It's an excellent card.
It's interesting to see. I feel like we've seen fire cards in like every pack so far. Which, I mean, no brainer, the line's definitely open, but kind of interesting.
Yep, definitely. So let's continue on, see how the rest of the table's doing.
All right, so now we're on Delon. It looks like he's got himself some dark Pokemon as well. Galarian, Zigzagoon.
Yeah, we got Galarian, Zigzagoon, Tyranitar, Crawdon, Umbreon. Not bad. The Umbreon is not great, but the Tyranitar and the Crawdon are quite nice. And the Galarian Zigzagoon, of course, great in everything. See some psychic stuff that we already saw before, but no expansion there. We do see a Glaceon now in this pool, which is not a bad card by any means. It is going to be fairly strong if Daylon decides to go into water, but water is pretty contested in this draft as well.
We also see that he picked up a Smeargle to evolve his Porygon 2 in, so he does have a target for that as well, which is good.
Yep, definitely. All right, moving along to Tomoe. Let's see. Very nice supporter and trainer. Looks like a lot of fighting commitment here, which is interesting because isn't someone else committing to some fighting as well?
Yeah, I thought so.
I think there's another fighting drafter right now.
Was it Weiss on Ice had the fighting as well as
Yes, Weiss on Ice. Weiss on Ice has 2 powerful fighting stage 2s. So not great. Not great for Tomoe to never be able to see those cards, but this draft seems to be shaping up well. Really. Oh, and there's a special charge now for the 2 double colorless energy card is just absolutely nuts given the deck that it's going to be in. So really excited to see that.
Not a lot of love for a swoop teleporter that wielded last to the player. I personally, I think the card is pretty great in this cube, just because you can utilize cards like Azelf and Lapras. You don't, even if you don't have any plans to evolve them, or you want to make it into a stronger basic. But it seems like other people are kind of just brushing them off. I don't know how you feel about that card.
I do quite like Swoop Teleporter. A lot of the time I end up cutting it just because it can be, especially in Mutant, there aren't as many reasons to get Pokemon off the bench as there are in a regular cube. A lot of the time if you play Uxie, you're going to evolve it like a Musharna or something to that effect. You're not going to need to get it off the bench in the same way, but definitely not a bad card to have, and probably better than last pick.
Well, I'm sure Daylon's happy to see that card last pick, though. I mean, not every deck can utilize it either. So, and who can resist drafting Charizard Star?
For sure.
Let's go over to Mike Gibbs now and see where he's at in his draft. I'm seeing Fire more in his pool now. In addition to the spread,
Mike loves high consistency support cards. So this Ninetales, Hard Silver pickup, not a surprise at all. The Salamence Delta actually plays very nicely with the Ludicolo Delta and Mike's strategy overall, just being a powerful stage 2 attacker with no power, and it's not an EX. The Exeggutor Delta, actually a very nice pickup for Mike here because of the spread attack being very good, and Mike has a ton of Delta Pokemon so far, so Mike is probably fairly happy with this draft, I have to imagine.
Yeah, it looks like he's got himself sort of a Delta box here, and this pack is really nice. He's got a lot of good options here between Delcatty and the Steven's Advice, which is what I would be taking, the VS Seeker, lots of good options.
Yeah, let's take a look at this. So Delcatty, it doesn't seem like Mike will have the need for Delcatty because he's looking at that Ninetales with Roast Reveal already in his draft pool. I like the Steven's Advice here, and that is what Mike is looking to take. The Professor Oak's New Theory, very nice supporter, of course. VS Seeker, also good, but I don't think there's a ton of competition in this pick, especially given the types that Mike is in. Empoleon would be good in his strategy. Empoleon is another stage 2, non-EX, no power, that has very efficient and powerful attacks. However, Steven's Advice, hard to argue with.
Yeah, Steven's Advice is like one of the strongest cards you can draft in Cube, and it just really makes a lot of these big turns happen because you can get up to 6 to 7 cards. It's a monster house of a card, especially in Cube.
Yeah, absolutely. Gonna see the draft continue advancing along here.
Yeah. So I guess like he's pretty much weaning off the spread, although he did get the Caterpie for the grass, which is one of the strongest basics in the cube, allowing it to evolve on its first turn being benched.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Ooh, okay. So a couple of high value cards here, although I don't think Mike is going to be looking at either of them. Vaporeon EX and Gardevoir Delta, both extremely powerful within their types. Gardevoir Delta, of course, being within 2 types. It's just one of the strongest single prizers in the cube, for sure. Energy Jump is an excellent power, and then both Psychic Rage and Black Magic are excellent attacks as well. So super powerful card. I don't know if we see Mike pick it up just because it seems like he's going on to some very different directions, and it might have some counter synergy there. But man, what do we see him pick up? We might see a Copycat.
Looks like he's taking the Netball. At least that's what he has selected now.
Okay, so maybe he's trying to head into Grass here, which not a terrible decision. We do know that Grass has barely been opened at this point. Almost all of the stage 2s, if not all of them, are still yet to come. So Netball could allow Mike to get more into this grass line that he's started to kind of move into in the first pack there.
Then he already has a good start at it. I mean, already having the Caterpie is a good start. And if he is looking to be more of a spread deck, the Weezing already has secured, so he already has a strategy started there. Grass, we haven't really seen many people. I guess we've seen it kind of dipped around in a few different places, but I haven't seen any of the big cards that I would expect to see yet from Grass.
Yeah, I think we've seen no stage 2s. Maybe one, but I can't remember any.
You certainly haven't seen like the Flutterwings Beedrill or the Vileplume EX, even the Energy Trans. Those cards are yet to be seen. So interested to see who actually ends up getting those. That's going to be a big deal.
Definitely. And we did see the Shiftry actually as a stage 2 grass Pokemon, but I think that Shiftry is probably the weakest grass stage 2 there is. So unless you're trying to play a specific control kind of strategy, it's not needed. Netball, very nice pickup from Mike here if he is looking to play these grass Pokemon that he's got, and they're strong grass Pokemon, so no surprise there.
Yeah, I guess we should round out the cast and see where Vent is at on his draft.
Yeah, let's check out Vent's pool.
So we've already seen this pack before, but let's see what cards Vent has taken. It looks like he put himself a Professor Oak's New Theory, which is Cynthia for anyone who's been playing more recently. It looks like he's got himself a lot of consistency. I mean, he had a good start before, and he keeps improving on it. I'm not really seeing what direction he's going into yet. It seems like he picked up a swamp, the Ruby Sapphire Swampert. So I guess he is more leaning towards the water types, which we were kind of seeing before that. So very interesting.
Yeah, if he does decide to go into water, not only is Ruby Sapphire Swampert a very powerful accelerator, but Vaporeon EX is the strongest stage 1 in the line, so I have to imagine Vent is happy to see this card.
Yeah, sort of the writing on the wall there. If he's going for water, I mean that's what you'd want to see. You'd want to see your Swampert into the Vaporeon EX just for the powerhouse that they both are.
Yeah, and at this point, the Vaporeon EX is a very powerful card. It's coming through pick 3. A lot of people would pick it up just to play it on its own or in a thinner water line. So Vent can be reasonably assured that the people to his immediate... what direction are we passing right now? We are currently passing right. So Vent can be reasonably assured that the people that are to his left or immediate left are not on water.
Yeah, especially because he already has like the Walrein and the Feraligatr, and then also the Frogadier. He's got a lot of good water pieces to start, and he's also got the Aqua Patch. So I think it's definitely clear that he's very interested in water. I'm not quite sure what he's deliberating here, whether it's Vaporeon or maybe I don't know, like a Palpat or something. I'm not quite sure. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what else in this pack. I mean, like the number one card in this pack still is definitely going to be the Gardevoir. Looking at that, but other than that, interested to see how this continues to play out.
Looks like he does go for the Vaporeon EX, which we were kind of expecting. So good to see that
No
his water deck
surprise.
is coming along nicely, and also he has the Octillery in there too. Lots of water support.
Yeah, so the Artillery is an excellent card here. I would actually like to see the Salamence EX pickup maybe, just because that is one of the strongest stage shoes in the entire cube, and he already has the acceleration to make it work. So the card is not very good if you don't have the acceleration for it. However, being in water is excellent for it. But not a huge surprise. Vent does go for the Artillery. Of course, it being one of the best possible stage 1s in water is not a surprise. But I'm interested to see where this Salamence ends up. And we might see the player who got that Blaziken decide to go into it, because that is an excellent use there.
Yeah, the Salamence EX is an interesting card, especially because like its Pokebody is not bad either, allowing non-EX Pokemon to have free retreat. But you're talking about the Dodrio can be really strong, especially if your strategy involves quite a bit of pivoting. Its attacks are very strong as well. Doing 120 is nothing to scoff at, especially if you have accelerants like the Blaziken. So hopefully someone's probably gonna pick this up, but Auxiliary, you definitely can't fault for the consistency boost in there. It's gonna give this deck a nice added draw for the rest of the game. So definitely a good pickup for water.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually haven't been loving the draw up to 5 and draw up to 6 cards in this cube. A lot of the time you end up with a pretty hefty number of cards in your hand, pretty much all the time. So it's not as good as it might be in another cube where you play out your hand a lot, but it's definitely not a bad card, especially in the early game as an evolving stage 1. A lot of the time in the early game you are going to be able to play your hand down pretty effectively, and then drawing 3-4 cards off of an Octillery can be an excellent boost to your setup.
Looks like he's going to be taking the Return Wave of Vaporeon. We also are seeing some of the bigger evolution cards. We are seeing the Vileplume EX from the grass, the Pidgeot with the Delta Reverse for Lightning/Metal. So interested to see who actually gets access to these cards. Since we are going to the right, I know some people have been leaning heavily towards Lightning, and it's going to be interesting to see where these cards end up at.
Yeah, I'm shocked that Mike did not take this Vileplume. Given that
you would think that would be a good card for the grass deck, especially I really like Vileplume EX in this cube. It's a very efficient attacker, and an attacker with the Pokebody of just blocking trainer cards is nothing bad about that. I think that card is a great Pokemon that's underutilized in the cube.
Yeah, so interested to see what happens with that Vileplume, and interested to see what direction Mike has decided he wants to go, because I feel like that would fit into his strategy almost perfectly.
Well, let's tune back into Mike. Let's see where he's looking at here. It looks like he picked himself up oh, he might have organized his tab, but I'm not familiar if he had a Mr. Brownie's Compassion before.
Looks like he's just really heavily prioritizing trainers and just trainers in general. lots of them. His Pokemon line seems pretty uncommitted. Could be that he's really holding out for some specific Pokemon, which would be a very Mike Gibbs thing to do. So,
Although we see him taking the
I-
Ledian, which is interesting. For another grass evolution Pokemon. So I'm definitely getting the grass vibes. I'm just interested to see why he didn't take the Vileplume.
oh, I think the Vileplume was up against Cursed Stone.
Ah, I see. That would be a notable exception.
Yeah, the second Curse Stone fits really nicely into Mike's strategy. Curse Stone's a very powerful card in this cube, and of course, Mike cannot resist Cursed Stone as a card. So honestly, I do think the odds of the Vileplume wheeling are higher than the odds of the Cursed Stone coming back around. So
For sure.
could very well see it come back.
And that's something we see players often do. If you are between cards, it's usually if you think one card will come back, it's certainly not a bad idea to take something like Curse Stone, which every deck can utilize, but not every deck can utilize Vileplume EX. I mean, obviously, Grass Stage 2, not every deck's playing a Grass Stage 2 line, so higher odds that less people will be interested in that card. So that would be definitely a consideration that a lot of players will make throughout the draft.
Yep, absolutely.
It looks like so maybe he was having to debate the Letty in here. I'm not sure what other card he was going to be looking at, but I mean, definitely would make sense for his grass deck.
Yeah, I don't think that any other pick there really makes a ton of sense. Maybe he was looking at the Arcanine or something.
And looks like he's picking up the Execute right off this pack, which is a really good basic for him. I'm sure lots of people are familiar with the Propagation Execute. Once it's in the discard, you can put it back in your hand. So it's great for always just having a grass basic available to you. Also combos with cards like Ultra Ball or any discard effects that you might have. So definitely not a bad pickup.
This to me indicates that Mike is just decided that he's ready to draft grass. Because the Fluffy Berry, I would say, is the stronger universal pick. As well as maybe the Juggler, the Adventurer. Those are a little bit worse, but I think the Fluffy Berry would be far and away best pick, especially in a deck like Mike's where he's aiming to use a lot of non-EX Pokemon. So Fluffy Berry is basically a floatstone. Execute, though, is very, very strong in grass, and if Mike has pretty much decided that that's the route he's going to take, then Execute makes a lot of sense here.
Excellent sense. Is that what you were going to say?
I almost did say that, yes. I realized what I was about to say and had to stop myself.
So, yeah, I guess he's sort of, I mean, you pretty much painted a clear picture here. I guess let's go see what Mr. DCE, Tomo, what is he up to now?
Oh, man, I am really terrified of whatever he's been able to put together.
A lot of fighting. A lot more fighting. Definitely the direction we saw him going before. He did pick up a Flygon EX. That is an interesting one. Definitely to pair off that DCE.
Oh my gosh, that Flygon EX is such a strong card in this draft. Also, Mike probably going to be very, very happy to see this Muck EX coming his way. I have to imagine he takes that card. Although I could see him taking the Parallel City as well, just because I know he loves that card, but it's not so great in grass. So either way, talking about the person who we're actually looking at, the Flygon EX is probably one of the single best, and the Clefable EX. Okay, Tomo-O has got some really phenomenal tools here now for these double colorless energy. Man, I would be pretty happy to see this pack. VS Seeker and Rescue Energy. Wow. Tomo-O already prioritizing cards with lots and lots of colorless attack costs. Rescue Energy is very powerful, and VS Seeker, of course, always super strong.
Surprised VS Seeker made it around this far. That is a very, very nice card for this late in the pack.
I'm always surprised, but VS Seeker goes... so many powerful cards go very late in this queue.
I wonder if people are just trying to get their really important line toppers that maybe they see, or they want to make sure they get like the right Pokemon for their draft first.
Yeah, definitely could be. And with Mutant, you might see a basic or a stage 1 that has a lot higher priority than it would in a normal draft, just because it's a lot stronger than a regular basic would be. So you end up seeing some really powerful cards like Fluffy Berry, VS Seeker, Rescue Energy coming through very late.
So you mentioned the Clefable EX. Explain that one to me. Like, is that a common one we see in these? I guess was the Metronome attack a lot can be very impactful, especially because you can reuse different attacks.
Yeah, so Metronome is just an absolutely incredible attack. Moon Impact, not bad, by the way. 2 for 40 is about on par for a stage 2, so and even a stage 2 EX. So Clefable EX to have that attack is nice as a secondary option, especially if you're going to be evolving out of it later. But Metronome is really the star of the show with Clefable EX. Anytime Clefable EX is up against a colorless attacker that is weak to colorless, which a lot of them are, and really there are a lot of attackers that are not colorless that are weak to colorless in the Delta Species cards. So Metronome just being able to one-shot any one of those Pokemon is so strong. And a lot of the time you just get way above rate. You know, if your opponent has a 4 energy attack or even a 5 energy attack, I think there are just a couple of those in the cube. Metronome being able to copy that for 2 energy is amazing. So just an extremely powerful stage 1, and especially so with a double colorless energy. Being able to literally go from just a colorless basic into one-shotting a Salamence EX is nuts.
And I did not realize. I mean, he has 3 DC, but also a special charge. That is insane. He's like, I suspect at least 5 DCs in one game.
Yeah, it's just ridiculously powerful. I would definitely, if I was in Tomo's shoes, just be looking to pad out my stock of colorless Pokemon. We might even see the Salamence EX picked up here, not because it's amazing, but because it has decent synergy with DCE.
Yeah.
Armaldo EX is actually a very nice card to come this late, and with Tomo having some fighting commitment so far, and he does just go right for it. It has 2 strong attacks, Spiral Drain 2 for 40, Heal 2, very nice attack, good above rate effect because of the additional healing, and then Vortex Chop being 3 for 70 is already a strong attack. However, it deals 100 if the opponent has any resistance at all, and resistances in this cube are extremely common, and fighting is a very commonly resisted type. So Vortex Chop is going to get its damage no matter what. And I imagine that Tomo, especially with the DCE, looking to use Vortex Chop as much as possible. So 160 HP on an EX is also just about the best you could do, and very nice to see.
Yeah, and it has the ability to heal itself off too, like healing some minor chip damage. So very strong card. I'm glad to see that he's picking it up. He definitely has the tools in his tool belt to make it work.
Yep. And we actually do see a Salamence EX, Celio, and Friend Ball. This is an excellent... All 5 of these cards, really fantastic cards to see at this stage of the draft. He does go for the Salamence. He identifies the DCE as a great card with that, and I can't disagree with him. You know, a lot of the time you're not going to be able to use Bright Flame in consecutive turns just because... You know, needing the fire and the water, it's going to be 2 separate turns of attachment. So really, even with a DCE, it's 3 turns of attachment. But the Dragon Lift body is great. Flame Jet is excellent. And Bright Flame, the option to use that is very, very nice. And DCE pairs beautifully with it. So no surprise that he decides to go for that Salamence EX, especially with a colorless commitment thus far. And it could be that he decides to try and fish for some fire or water acceleration to kind of pair with this, but not quite sure on that. Salamence EX might not even make his deck in the end, but I think he identifies that it's a powerful card in his line and not a bad pickup at all.
Yeah, I would like to see some more consistency out of him because I feel like he is lacking in that department. But I mean, with 47 picks left, he still has a ton of time to accumulate those cards.
Yeah, he's pretty shy on consistency for sure. I would not mind seeing the Friend Ball pick up here, actually, considering such a large portion of his deck is going to be colorless. Colorless Pokemon are ubiquitous throughout the cube, throughout lots and lots of decks. Friend Ball actually ends up being a very powerful card if you are on colorless, especially. But even some other lines like Psychic, Steel, it's going to be very common that a lot of people have, or Dark, going to be very common that a lot of people have multicolored cards or powerful setup basics, something like that, and Friend Ball gets a ton of value. So, and in addition, it's not uncommon to have some tech one-ofs yourself. So a lot of the time, Friend Ball might find, your Uxie or your Holin's Pokemon or your setup Pokemon. So very good card. I would have liked to see pick up there, but no big deal. Salamence EX, very hard to argue with.
Yeah. So I guess we should hop over and see what the other people are onto. So here's Daylon's draft. A lot more dark Pokemon than what we've seen before. As well, he's got the Tyranitar EX. We've seen the Embryon before, I believe. He's picking up the Sableye, so he's definitely leaning towards more of a dark strategy. I've seen a lot more control cards in this draft too. I've seen the Flare Grunt. Some damage removal.
I think the most interesting thing out of this pack is I think Vent gets to wheel the Swampert EX. So Vent is the last person to see this pack. Holland Farmer, solid recovery card, especially if you have the transceivers to back it up. Grimsley is a very nice damage buff, especially for a deck like Mike's. If I was Mike and I saw Grimsley, I would snap that immediately because it's so strong with spread. And that doesn't leave a lot left. So you end up with the Swampert EX, one of the best EX attackers in the type, wheeling all the way to Vent, which is... I'm sure Vent is going to be happy about that one.
Yeah, you'd love to see one of your best cards get to you. Unfortunately, the Splash Energy won't get to him, but it was just a person or two shy of reaching him as well.
And it's not the end of the world. Splash Energy is a good card for sure, and I'm sure he'd be really happy to have it, but it doesn't define the deck by any means, especially not in the way like something like the Swampert might. So while it's disappointing, he's probably going to be okay with that. But Shiftry coming out here for Daylon, I do like the card. I think it's pretty underrated. Just being able to get 3 for 70 on basically the whole cube. Not bad on a non-EX attacker and on a dark type, especially. Dark type Pokemon have lots and lots of damage modifiers and going to, I imagine, see those coming in at very high pick priority for Daylon.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It does seem like it does get a lot of underrated potential here. Don't see a lot of people playing it in their decks, but I do agree. I do think that the 70 is going to be a really solid attack, especially for 3. It's pretty on par, especially as a 1 prize attacker. It looks like all of the water pieces are just coming through. So, I mean, that's good for Vent. It means that that line is staying particularly open for him, which is what he would want. So,
yeah, and I am actually tracking the Swampert EX through the pack, and he did get it.
Ah, I see. It makes sense.
So that's amazing. I mean, his water setup is so uncontested, and man, it is a really nice line to be in. Did he get that Empoleon we saw? He did not. Somebody else has picked up that Empoleon. Yeah, I mean, it's an excellent stage too, don't get me wrong, but so Vent may actually end up with a little bit of competition in water.
Yeah, let's keep moving forward. Maybe we'll find out who actually took it. So I also move forward to Xander's pool over here. Scene. I don't know if he has
Manectric EX. That is a defining card for Lightning.
Yep, it is very much a good card to see, especially as was relatively undefined before when we looked at him. So it's good to see that he is starting to shape up more of a Lightning strategy here.
Yeah, definitely. Seems he's kind of settling into that lane. Although he does have the Gengar pickup, which he seems to still have highlighted, and he's been pretty quick to deselect stuff that he's not going to use. So could see a Gengar come out here as well in his deck. Maybe he's looking to pair up those cards. Fighting or Psychic and Lightning do complement each other's weaknesses a lot of the time. You have fighting resistance on a lot of Ghost type Pokemon, so could see that pairing. But let's continue up, see what we got.
So here is Weiss on Ice. He was drafting Beast between Metal and Fighting before.
Oh, right. Which Aggron EX is that? Is that the... Let's check it out. That is the Intimidating Armor one. So definitely the better of the two. Draft pretty much continuing predictably, I would say, for Weiss on Ice. We do see a Dialga at the bottom of the draft pool and a Pidgeot Delta at the bottom as well, which is, essentially very easy for him to get into. Wow, this pack is nuts, but we can talk about that in just a second. Yeah, picking up a Dialga later on, which is a very, very nice evolving basic. So Weiss on Ice, while you don't see a lot of the top-end metal coming through, other than the Aggron EX, he does have quite a few options here, which is good. But man, if I was him, I would definitely be slamming this Jirachi just because it's in his type, and Jirachi EX is a phenomenal card. Especially when you can evolve out of it and it's not an EX liability anymore. But wow, so many people are going to be happy to see this. We've got Raichu EX being one of the most powerful stage 1s in the cube, Lugia EX being one of the most powerful basics in the cube, and Kingdra EX being the single most energy efficient stage 2 attacker as well. So Andrew, what are your thoughts on this one?
I mean, wow, you really couldn't have put better cards in this pack for him as far as Pokemon are concerned. I definitely like the Jirachi EX snag here because you basically get to play it with none of the downside. So being able to search out any supporter is going to be really good, especially if you have cards like Hollow Mentor, which we can see in his draft, as well as he can evolve it up, so he doesn't have to deal with the the annoyance of maybe this will get gusted up and maybe lose a few prizes. So definitely a good card to take here. But I mean, yeah, there's a lot of nice things here. I mean, especially if you have an engine for Lugia EX, it can be great. I don't think it's definitely going to be in every deck, but like cards like we saw, like maybe an event where you had like the double energy acceleration could be really good with cards like Lugia EX. The Mentor's nice. I mean, obviously, if you already have a Mentor and you have maybe Transceivers, you don't necessarily need to. And then that Raichu EX probably doesn't make a lot of sense for Rice and Ice, but I'm sure other people who are on Lightning might be more interested in taking it. He's going for the Holland Electrode, though, which is not the card I was expecting him to take, but I mean, Holland Electrode, depending on what deck he is going for, Holland Electrode can have its uses. I'm curious to see what you feel about maybe, were you thinking Holland Electrode for this pack, or do you have any other thoughts?
Likely not. I would definitely like to see the Jirachi pick up. I mean, he's not going to get. Oh, he deselected, and he's going for the Regirock. So seems like he still wants to commit more to this fighting aspect of his deck. And Regirock is the best fighting basic, being able to accelerate to itself. It's an excellent attacker in and of itself, and it's also a great Pokemon to evolve off of because it means whatever you evolve into will be fully set up. So hard to go wrong with a lot of this stuff. And this does key us in that Weiss on Ice is not ready to give up on fighting yet. So interesting thing there. Maybe he doesn't feel like he's seen enough metal. He thinks that somebody else is on it, which at this point, he's got 7 metal Pokemon in his draft, with the Espeon and Gardevoir, of course, being metal as well. But that doesn't. So he's got 9 metal Pokemon. He might be looking at this and thinking, I have not seen enough metal Pokemon, and I'm really afraid that somebody else is on this. So I'm going to try and branch out a little bit and shore up my chances of having a good deck in the end, which I respect.
Yeah, I really like Regicycle as like a evolving basic because what you can do with it is essentially send up an attacker and accelerate to Regirock in between the turns. So that way you were able to have another stage 1 that can evolve into it directly after you get knocked out. So you can have this immediate response. So if you're planning on playing some sort of fighting deck, I definitely could see taking Regirock for that.
Yep, and he actually does have the Gardevoir Delta that we saw earlier, so I have to imagine that ends up in the deck. And I could see, between the fighting Pokemon, considering that he is pretty set on the fighting Pokemon as well now, between the fighting energy cost, the Steelix uses the hole in Pokemon very nicely, the metal energy costs, and the psychic with the Gardevoir, Poland's Electrode starts to make more and more sense as a pickup. Unfortunately, I don't think we'll see it come back, although in that pack we might.
Yeah, that pack was up against some monster cards, so it could happen. With 8, it's a little bit trickier because as the cards get passed around, the pack gets weaker, so hard to say. He is going for the quick ball here, which it's just good consistency to have, so I can't blame him for that.
Yeah, I don't think there's a ton of competition for that quick ball here. Nest ball is just quick ball, but worse in a lot of cases because you can't use your entering the board effects. Doesn't look like he has any right now. Oh, Minior. He does have Minior. And Minior is a super powerful basic, too. So Quick Ball, definitely the play between the two in this draft. Although I generally like Evo Soda more because Evolution Search is at a higher premium. There's lots and lots of basic search, and Evolution Search is a little bit more rare. So interesting to see that. But let's hop over to Omnipoke's tab and see how he's doing.
Sure. So we know before we were seeing some fire types. It looks like he's housing those fire types for us. He's got the Blaziken. He took the. He already has the Macargo. He has the Dark Houndoom now, and the Kingler.
Yeah, so it looks like Omnipoke has kind of settled into this fire niche, and given that fire has given the appearance of being totally open at this point, that's a very good place to be. He is going to miss out on a couple of the cards that went around early on, things like the Ludicolo. However, we really haven't seen a lot of the most powerful stage 2s in fire yet, and Blaziken is a very powerful enabler. We actually do see the Rayquaza EX from Deoxys as well, which is an amazing card with Blaziken. So Omnipoke definitely doing well at this point. His consistency also not bad at all. 11 supporters and 9 items with essentially 3 packs left to go. So this is a great spot, and he does pick up the Evo Soda, which is a pack pickup that I am hugely in favor of.
Yeah, the Rayquaza EX is interesting just because you can bench it, move all this energy to it, and then basically unload a huge attack to get a big knockout. So good pickup for him. I'm sure he's planning on using it with all his fire acceleration. Yeah, definitely a good card to add to his draft.
Yeah, I'm sure that he's looking very nicely at that. And he also has the Delcatty as well, which synergizes incredibly with the Blaziken. So, and the Magcargo. So Omnipoke having a very nice time here. He got all of those cards very late, actually. I don't know about the Rayquaza. The Rayquaza he might have picked up pretty early because this is the first time I've seen it. But the Delcatty, the Magcargo, and the Blaziken all came so late. I have to imagine he's feeling pretty good about his chances of continuing to build out his deck.
Definitely. And I guess to round out the cast, let's hop over to Icewerda, see where he is landing. And we're seeing quite a bit of water and grass here. I guess we found out where the Empoleon went. Connor, what are your thoughts? What do you see from here? What do you think he's looking at with this pack that we've already seen, the really stacked pack? He took the Goose Mahala.
He definitely seems to be struggling some with, the grass is pretty good, honestly. I think if I was in his shoes, I would try and commit more toward this grass than anything else, just because he's got the Meganium, which is such a huge accelerator and such a huge piece of that strategy. It seems like he's kind of starting to panic a little bit and dipping into that water. Salamence EX Delta is a pretty powerful card. It's not amazing, but it's a card that I'm going to play in my deck most likely. So it's pretty good, at least I think. Empoleon, a very powerful stage 2 non-EX attacker. So the development that we do see in this pack or in this pool for Icewerda is not bad. The water stuff is coming together fairly nicely. He's got good cards in there. The grass stuff is coming together fairly nicely. He's got good cards in there. But I think he realizes that neither of them is open, and he's just kind of trying to latch onto anything that he can. And neither of them are open. Mike is on the grass stuff, and Vent is really heavily on water. So no big surprises that things are not kind of coming through for Icewerda. I'll be interested to see how he kind of patches this draft up and what direction he goes in.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to need for the grass more stage 1s for his Meganium, Credilli, Vileplume, which I don't think are bad cards. He just needs, the evolutions to get into those. With 39 picks left, you still have plenty of time, and we're about halfway through the draft, about over halfway, I should say. But at some point, you're going to have to, really commit to a line or not, and time's running out, so he's going to have to, once you start seeing a few of the evolution cards for either type, he's going to have to make a decision.
Yeah, just very interested to see what comes of this draft. So, Nest Ball coming through. Bulbasaur is also a card that he would probably really like to have in his draft, and Mike is almost certainly going to steal. Not steal, because, Mike has been on grass probably since the beginning of the draft, realistically, but Mike is going to be really happy to see that card, so I don't think Icewerda will get that back.
Yeah, and I mean, he's not turning too bad in the grass department, although Bulbasaur is a good basic. He does have the Gossifleur, which is I think some of the best grass evolving basics besides the Caterpie. The Gossifleur is really great for grabbing 3 other Pokemon, put them on the bench. The Celebi is great for acceleration, and then the Burmy also accelerates to itself. So definitely can't feel bad about that. He does have an option to take the Shaman, although it's cut up against the Retriever, the Evolution Incense. So interested to see where he goes with this.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think depending on the level of recovery he's working with, the Pokemon Retriever might be better. But I know he picked up the Ordinary Rod very, very early, so Evolution Incense might be the pickup here.
Yeah, I could definitely see it. I don't mind the Shaman as much either because he has the energy acceleration. Although I don't quite know what other options he would have with it, so I could probably take the Evolution Incense out of safety.
Yeah. Let's keep an eye on Omnipoke's tab for now. We haven't really focused on his draft at all, and we can kind of talk about the picks that he might be seeing. So Burning Energy is an amazing card for fire, but he goes for the Master Ball, doesn't prioritize it. Maybe the Blaziken EX, either it already went around, I don't remember seeing it, but it might have. Or he thinks that he can wheel it, which I would say Burning Energy is a very safe wheel here, so no disagreement there. Master Ball going to help keep the deck consistent. He's got a pretty nice consistency base already, 12 supporters and 10 items, but never hurts to have more. And if he has some utility cards or cards that aren't useful, I see the Dark Patch, obviously that's not going to be useful in a fire deck. So just trying to kind of round out that consistency base and probably wheel the Burning Energy, I imagine.
I'd imagine this is a great instance of where he doesn't need the Burning Energy for his deck to work per se, but it's a nice addition. So it's not a bad idea to let it go around and know for sure if your line is open. I think it's been pretty uncontested this far, but I mean, even just coming there, Burning Energy comes back even more so confirms your suspicion. So not a bad card, especially if he needs consistency with the Master Ball.
Yeah, if you can get a Burning Energy on a Blaziken, then it's just nuts. Blaziken EX with Volcanic Ash, just being able to deal 100 damage wherever you want turn after turn with a single attachment because the Burning Energy keeps attaching itself back.
Does he have Blaziken EX in his pool?
He does not, and I don't think it's been unpacked yet. So
I don't think it has.
If he had that card, maybe he would have slammed it.
Perhaps,
but he probably. I know Omnipoke is a very confident drafter, so he probably feels like he can get it back.
But I do think the Latias EX. Now that's a good pick.
Yeah, I can't see anything else possibly being the pickup here, and he doesn't really even think about it that hard.
I mean, Latias EX is even as good without evolution, so the fact that you can't evolve it into whatever, as well as attack with it, I mean, it's such a good card.
Yeah, now that Omnipoke is more firmly on fire as well, and it seems like that's going to be kind of the single direction here. There's not going to be a lot of deviation in types. I might like to see some weakness protection because fire is very frequently weak to the same thing. So that could be very nice. Some resistance blocking as well. Fire is often resisted by some of the dragon types in the cube, so being able to get through that with like a Ruins of Alph would be very nice. Omnipoke hasn't actually played this cube before, so he may not realize just how many Pokemon resist fire, and I could imagine that being a very rude awakening once he plays up against some of the either colorless decks or some of the decks that are able to take advantage of the dragon types. So that will be something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, it's funny. Like 20 damage might not seem like a lot, or even 30 damage, but in this cube, with how the numbers work out, it can be game changing. It can turn a 2-shot into a 3-shot, which completely throws off your tempo. So you definitely want to be managing weakness and resistance when you're approaching what type your deck is.
Yeah, 30 damage is just tremendous to resist with every single attack. So very powerful.
That's also why cards like Big Malasada you can find in this cube, because the 20 damage you're healing, in addition to the special conditions, are relevant, which is funny because Big Malasada is not a common card you would see, especially in cube. But it actually, I think, is pretty decent. I know it was a nerf for Potion was too good originally, so kind of an interesting progression of how this cube has gone.
Yeah, we'll be very interested to see what happens here. Seems like Vent is having a hard time. Maybe we should take a look at what he's. Oh, he has picked. Okay. Hopping over to his tab, he has actually gone for a Nidoqueen, a Metal Nidoqueen, which he
Oh,
does have
the
some stage ones that
imitation.
will evolve into this. So not crazy, but it was up against an Evolution Incense, so that's probably the card that he was considering so fiercely. All right, this pack we've taken a pretty considerable look at already. So let's take a look at Mike's
I was
draft.
gonna say
Mike
we
has
should
had an
check out Mike
interesting deck
Gibbs.
building out. All right, so he's continuing on this grass stage 1 kind of setup. He takes the Shaman. No big surprise there. Shaman's an excellent card, but wow, there are some top tier cards coming through late into this pack.
A Retriever
Evolution Incense and
and
Retriever both.
that's insane. Two
And
cards I never saw in my draft.
yeah, I think you'd be pretty happy anytime you saw these cards for
Oh, for
sure.
sure. Although I'm interested to
The
see, he picked up the Parasite, which is going to do more for confusion, but I don't think he has that many confusion enablers. So I'm wondering if he's banking on getting some build arounds.
yeah, I don't think he has any at the moment.
Because the only one I can really think of is Vileplume EX, but we know that's in Icewarda's draft pool. So
Yeah, Mike let
hopefully,
it through.
hopefully he's got some thought for it.
Yeah, we'll see if Mike's able to pick up that confusion source and or even a couple would be ideal.
Although I'm not
I
seeing much
imagine
stage 2 grass in general. I don't know if any really play into his strategy, but kind of interesting to see where his draft is going.
I think losing the Dragon IDX for the viewers is a card that was recently in the queue but taken out because of power level concerns. The Dragon IDX would play very well to this strategy, so I think Mike is probably not feeling great about it being gone. But there are still some nice grass attackers outside of Vileplume EX that I would consider, like the Cradily, which Icewarda has as well. You know, Icewarda is really hurting Mike in this draft, not being able to wheel some very powerful cards. You know, Vileplume was against Curstone. Mike didn't have a ton of choice there. And Mike, I don't even think he saw Cradily EX. I think Icewarda just snapped it up. So really scary situation for Mike, and he might not even know the extent to which he's missing cards.
That's what I was wondering, because you haven't. I mean, we're over halfway through the draft, but we're not late enough for you to maybe start getting wary, because there are quite a few grass cards that are coming through. Like he was able to pick up the netball, the shaman he just picked up. So it's hard to get some signals. Although not having any of the grass stage 2s at this point would be a little bit concerning to me. But I'm not quite sure if that's necessarily like what Pokemon he's looking for in particular. I mean, we still haven't seen the Beedrill. We still haven't seen Energy Trans come through. So that we have seen quite a few, but he did pass on the Vileplume EX, so he knows that that's not available to him. But I don't know. I feel like I would get kind of nervous if he's looking for certain cards in this line.
Yeah, definitely.
We
But
are going
I
to see
don't
the
know.
Professor Birch pick up, though. It's a nice draw supporter for him. Wondering if that Heat Energy will make its way around. It does look like it's not very contested, but it does have to get through 1, 2, 3, 4 more people, which, I mean, up against a lot of these cards, maybe. But I'm not sure if anyone else has any fire interest. I guess Mike is be the only one who has significant fire investment besides Omnipoke.
Yeah, Omnipoke probably kicking himself for not picking up that Heart Gold Soul Silver Ninetales as well. He's gonna struggle a little bit to keep up that same consistency, although he did get the Delcatty, so not too much by any means. I will say the Burning Energy was up against several, fairly universal utility cards, so I could very easily see it wheeling around, just considering that nobody between Mike and Omnipoke is really considering it.
We are seeing the Alina come through. I don't know if he plans on playing this in their deck, but it is kind of an interesting card. Just being able to take a trainer out of your opponent's hand and put it on the bottom of their deck could catch someone with your pants down while you're they maybe have a draw supporter for next turn. You could be like, nope, that's on the bottom of your deck now. I don't think he plans on playing it, but I mean, if he does, he might have some sneaky control strategies ahead of him.
Definitely. Oleana is absolutely a Mike Gibbs card.
Now, what do you define as a Mike Gibbs card for listeners?
Mike Gibbs card is a card that prevents your opponent from playing the game, or prevents them from playing the game in the way that they want to. So Mike loves disruptive cards. He loves things like Curse Stone, like Desert Ruins, things that lock your opponent. All of those are very much Mike Gibbs cards, and he likes these items increase damage or disrupt your opponent in some way, whether it be hammers or gusting effects, things like that. So this kind of fits right in with the kit,
It's true. You know what? We should check on Mr. DCE, man. I want to see if he maybe picked up the 4th DCE or if he's what he's really focusing on here.
Yeah, I think there are 2 DCEs still yet to be opened, so we could definitely see him get more.
Looks like he's taking the newly added Swellow with Drive Off. Not a bad Poke Power.
I don't think Omnipoke realizes how many Pokemon resist fire because he just passed a Ruins of Elf.
Yeah,
so
he might not. I mean, that wouldn't be something I would necessarily be thinking about if I started after this first time. It can definitely be a stark contrast to the other cubes we've run here, where this is more of a lower power. We just got done running some more higher power, less resistance involved in there too. Although Omnipoke does play a lot of cube on his own, so but this is definitely a beast of its own. So maybe, I mean, there are like quite a bit of Ruins of Elf in this cube, so he definitely didn't miss his one ticket. But we'll have to see what he picks up.
Definitely. But taking a look at Tomo-O, the DCE king, 3 DCEs in this draft pool. He has 3 double colorless energy.
Yeah, you're just happy to get one of them, and he's over here with 3.
Good lord, that's insane. The 4th one I don't believe has been unpacked yet. I haven't seen it in any other draft pools, but I haven't been looking that closely for it either. He's basically just been cashing out on supporters and items for most of these last couple of packs, it seems.
That's what I wanted to see. I wanted to see him got a little bit more consistency, because he definitely has like a great foundation. He just needs to be able to consistently get his Pokemon out, and especially with the special charge too. Like, he's going to be able to attack so quickly with any quick attacker that he's interested in.
Yeah, his Pokemon line is pretty strong at this point, too. He's got the Flygon, the Clefable, the Salamence, and the Slacking, all his excellent colorless attackers. The Kingra EX and Armaldo EX is great line toppers for the fighting side. Flygon also very, very strong with DCE. So tons of great cards to use here for Tomo-O. I hope he's excited about his draft as I am, because I am very excited about his draft.
I want to see him get a 4th DCE. That would be insane.
Ooh, I want to see him pick up this Ruins of Elf.
I wonder.
No, he takes the potion.
I was gonna say it's a little bit. I need one more card to make it over to Omnipoke, but it would be funny to see if it would just wheel to the very end.
Yeah, and I don't see the Soul Rock in Tomo-O's draft pool, which means he did not probably identify that it shut off resistance. Definitely a huge problem for fighting is resistance. Although nothing or very few cards resist colorless, so maybe he's kind of banking on just not using the type that's resisted by his opponent. Hard to say, especially because
EX too, which is nice. Like, at least
a
lot of
very true. Play. Ruins of Elf not, and the Kingra EX actually, its second attack goes through resistance. So I guess he doesn't really have that many cards that actually care that they get resisted.
That's even better, because his deck's gonna be, I'd imagine, very fast. So less cards to really worry about, less cards to search out. I mean, well, more the merrier.
Oh gosh, it's got to be a super fast deck. This Lunatone's not bad. Goes for the Pidgey. I haven't been looking to see if he has a ton of great synergy with. Oh, it switches over to the Lunatone.
I think we all just compulsively snap grab Pidgey out when we see it.
Unfortunately, this Pidgeot not quite on the same level as the other one, but Lunatone definitely a nice pickup here. It's just a fairly powerful basic 90 HP, 2 for 30, and an ability that you're not sad to use, you know? Guarantees that you have the better of the two cards on top of your deck every turn.
Yeah, I mean, it's better than nothing, especially if, I mean, compared to any basic, you just have to evolve. You'd rather have it do something while it's on the bench. Premonition, can't really argue with it. Definitely a stronger basic you can put out there.
Also love the artwork on that card. The eye is a very nice color.
Oh,
Ooh,
yeah,
I
it is very
wonder.
pretty
Oh,
color.
he does pick up the Zatu. This card is actually deceptively powerful. Zatu increases the damage of your stage twos. Yeah, the stage two EXs. So he has 4 or 3. Yeah, no 4. Yeah, he has 4 stage 2 EX Pokemon, and he already has the Charizard Star. So this Zatu is actually an amazing card in his deck. And he's got the Deoxys now, which is a much better basic under the Zatu because Charizard Star has such a high retreat cost, and he's very unlikely to have enough Dark Energy to use Charizard Star. So
Right. That
I
Zatu is really
really hope
nice.
this. Yeah, I really hope this Zatu ends up in his deck.
I mean, he already has the Salamence EX, he has the Flygon EX. He's a great partners for it, and like you said, now he's the Deoxys in his deck as well that he could play. So definitely already has basically just got handed an extra 10 damage for all of his EXs. And considering how fast his deck will probably be, he could definitely put some real pressure on his opponent.
Yeah. The only thing he's probably going to be sad that he doesn't end up with is the strong energy because Joe Bernard took that pretty early, but his deck is looking fantastic. I would be feeling great if I was in Tomo's seat right now.
Oh yeah, I mean he's basically able to flesh out. I mean I'm really interested to see if he unpacks another DCE in this next pack. That would just
Oh my
be
gosh, the playset. You gotta come on, Cube Gods. Give this man his 4th DCE.
right.
Let him have the most broken deck ever conceived in this cube.
Yeah, that would definitely be monstrous. I mean, he'd have access to 6 DCE throughout the whole game. Considering he already has a special charge. So yeah, let's see if he can do it. I'm interested to see what card he even gets out of this pack. So he still have a lot we haven't seen yet.
Ah, he didn't unpack another DCE.
Nope, he
Well,
did not.
it could come to him. I don't know if it will, but it's in Joe Bernard's pack, so basically the other side of the table. That's not gonna happen.
Well, that's
Um,
only they're passing. Oh, you're passing right, so it does have to go through
yeah, it's
3
gonna
other
be
people, which
4 It's gonna be or Omnipoke and then 3 other people. I couldn't
yeah.
really ever see this coming through. Although so the reason I was in Omnipoke's tab was because I wanted to check on the burning energy, which did come back to him. So
Oh, of
interesting
course.
there.
Yep, that makes a lot of sense.
Volcanic Ash Blaziken definitely going to be the biggest card Omnipoke is looking for as well. So hopefully for his sake that comes through, but I can't imagine it doesn't, especially wheeling the burning energy that late. I keep talking about it. Do you want to hop over to Omnipoke's tab? He has a very difficult pick here.
Yeah, let's go check it out. Let's see where he is at with this draft. I know you said one of the DCs in this pack, and wow, there it is right there. Um, Between that, there's a lot of good cards in this pack.
Yeah. Lapras, Typhlosion is probably wheelable. It's honestly not the best attacker in the line anyway. I mean, Split Blast being 100 damage, just repeatable every turn, is very nice, especially if he does pick up this DCE here, which he could. Roseanne's Research, though, and Professor Oak's New Theory are 2 of the best supporters in the cube, so I can understand why this pick is taking him longer than the other people at the table, because this is a very difficult pack.
Yeah, actually, this pack is so nuts. I don't want to jinx anything, so we'll have to see how this pack goes through. He is going with the Professor Oak's New Theory. Definitely a strong supporter card, and man, a lot of hard decisions there.
Yeah, very difficult decision. I'm gonna follow the chronicle of this DCE and see how far it makes it.
Yeah, that sounds
Uh,
great. So let's hop over to Weiss on Ice's pack. I mean, same pack we just saw, just different and one less card in it. How has his pot or his draft pool evolved since we've last seen it?
it's pretty similar. He hasn't really developed a lot of new strategies. He hasn't really gotten any new attackers either. So the DCE here is an excellent pickup. He has a ton of Pokemon that can take advantage of its effect. I think every single one of his attackers does have an attack with 2 colorless requirements. The Roseanne's Research, of course, very powerful. Evolution Incense, I would say, is slightly stronger than Roseanne's, and Rare Candy is also extremely powerful in this cube, as well as Lapras. Lapras is one of the best basics. So very interesting decision, but Tomo is not going to get that fourth DCE. It looks like Weiss on Ice is going to recognize that it is pretty much one of the best cards left in the cube for his deck, considering every single one of his attackers can use it.
Yeah, I mean, like, double colorless is definitely a strong card up front, and it would be pretty immaculate if that made it over to Tomoho. I'm sure we would be talking about it for generations to come, but I'm sure he's happy with 3DC nonetheless. I don't think he's expecting to get the fourth one, even with how lucky he was probably to get the 3.
Maybe hoping, but
Right.
I would be surprised if he was expecting. We haven't looked at Xander's tab in a while, so
Yeah,
now that the
let's look
Chronicle of
over
the
it.
DCE has ended, let's see what's going on.
Whole lot of lightning.
Yeah. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You know, it's actually not that much lightning. It's only 10, so that's it's about a 4-4-3 or 4-3-3 line total. Has the Manectric, did not end up getting the Raichu. Somebody else took the Raichu before it made it to him. So yeah, his draft is a little shaky at this point. He's probably not feeling amazing. But it's not the end of the world either. Like his draft isn't over by any means. He did pick up an Ampharos EX recently, so he's going to be able to add that to his draft pool. And he has a ton of trainers, so we could definitely see a nice deck come out of this. But he's probably disappointed that so many of his strong cards have probably been taken at this point, considering this is the second to last pack.
Yeah, I mean, once you get to this point, it's like feast or famine. It's really hard to see. If you're gonna get the Lions cards, you're gonna need it's gonna come very late. So hopefully he pulls through. I think there's still a little bit of lightning support left for him to cake. But we'll have to see.
Yeah, definitely.
I am interested to see where Daylon's back. I know he was drafting a lot of dark before. And it looks like we are still seeing a lot of dark still. We've seen quite a few dark parts coming through the draft pool too. I know we had the Weavile that's coming his way as well, which is good for disruption effects. Can't exactly see the rest of cards in his drafter, but it looks like he's picking him up a Wally supporter, which he's gonna have a monster pack coming to him soon. Connor, what are your thoughts?
Well, Umbreon EX is in Omnipoke's pack right now, which is the single or one of the worst possible packs it could be in, but it could make it around. I'm definitely looking for the Dark Electrode in the cube here because I do see the Dark Dragonite in Ice Sword's pack already. That would be very, very nice. And let's see if did we see the Dark Electrode? I don't think it's been drafted yet, but I'm trying to see if it's been unpacked.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing it. So yeah, very, very likely it hasn't been drafted.
I am interested to see where Mike Gibbs' draft is going.
Yeah, let's
we see enough Tomo. I think we know where his draft is going for sure.
Mike has written Yippee broken card, let's go in all caps. So what did he find? I'm very curious.
There for a while.
Oh, has it? Maybe it was just there when he got the second.
It was probably a curse stone.
Yeah. He's building out the fire side of his deck a little bit more, which is very interesting. And he's considering the sharing Milotic here. It does counter synergize with the Curse Stone, but you know it's just kind of a stepping stone for a Pokemon without an ability. So I think he's looking to diversify into fire. He does have 3 separate fire attackers that are neither EXs nor ability bearing or power bearing. So lots of nice options there. It definitely plays into his strategy. The grass stuff is not coming together that well. He has 4 or 5 stage 1s. None of them are amazing, and no stage 2s at all. So
and we did see
probably,
the Venusaur EX coming his direction. So I'm interested to see if he takes that in 2 picks.
I doubt he will take the Venusaur.
Mm-hmm.
Because it is an EX, it has power, it has
synergize.
Counter synergy with everything. So I don't think that Mike values the Venusaur in the grass deck very highly even, but I'm sure there are some stage 2s that he might be happy to see. Off the top of my head, I can't come up with any, but I doubt he wants to go into the event with 0, though he's probably not sad about it because he does have pretty much all the stage 1s that I think he's looking for.
It looks like he was debating between the Milotic and the Shaman, which is what he said. So
he does love Desert Shaman, another Mike Gibbs card. However, Milotic is probably going to be better for his consistency in the long run. He doesn't really have any bench sitting support. Oh, he's reconsidering. Is he going for the Shaman? Is he changing? No, he is not. He goes for the Milotic once again. So
You know what? He probably figured I can copy Desert Shaman with sharing. So two for
yeah,
one.
unfortunate for Omnipoke that he's not going to see that card, but I can't imagine he thought that it was guaranteed to come through
I guess
in
he's
this
lucky that
pack.
Mike wasn't on fire as hard when the fire energy was going around.
Yeah, definitely. The burning energy is powerful on Salaman's Delta, although it's not really good on any of Mike's other attackers. So I could understand Mike not necessarily really prioritizing it, but Celio's Network, probably the pickup here.
Yeah, Steelers would be a good just consistency supporter for him, and I don't see a lot of really strong picks for him in this pack.
Yeah, I see no Holin's Pokemon or no Holland supporters in his draft pool, so Transceiver is completely garbage. He may be considering the Venusaur here, just as a big stage 2 option that he can kind of throw down and deal 90 with. But I would think Celio's ends up being the pick.
Yeah, I haven't seen much consistencies in his draft pool, but it sounds like, I mean, consistency is pretty much hard to go wrong with.
Yeah, the restriction on Celio's of not being able to search EXs literally prevents Mike from searching one card in his entire deck, so it's basically just a Trevor. It searches anything.
Yeah, which is what you would want. I mean, especially since that card's going to enable you to be even more powerful than your deck than in others, so probably would be a strong grab here.
Definitely a very nice card.
Although, we're seeing more of like I see the Typhlosion, the Salaman's Delta in his draft. I'm guessing he is leaning more towards, and he obviously has the Ludicolo. So I could definitely see him pivoting here into more of a fire strategy. Although,
He may be considering the Smoochum. He has one fire basic.
So he might be eyeing up the Smoochum. We are pretty late into the draft, so you don't actually know how many fire basics are going to come through.
Exactly. And he can be fairly assured at this point that somebody else is drafting fire because, one, the cards haven't been coming. I mean, the Burning Energy came through very late, so hard to say on there. He may think that it's still open, but
seems risky.
You know, it's definitely risky. No idea if the smooching will come back. So tough choice for Mike. You know, if he gets the Celios and wheels Smoochum, that's definitely the ideal case. But if he fails to wheel the Smoochum, then he is going to be really strapped for basics going into this last pack. He does take the Celios. I am a fan of this pickup. I think the Smoochum pick would be a little bit too scared. Most likely, the person who's on fire has a pretty solid collection of basics at this point anyway, because it's been largely uncontested. So the Smoochum's a fairly safe wheel.
Yeah, and it also is up against the Fire Stage 1 as well. So, I mean, it's possible, too, that someone takes the Fire Stage 1 over the basic out of necessity.
Yep, definitely. Oh, but Mike is doing okay on the stage 1s. Yeah, he's got 3 of them. So
that Lapras might actually make it to Vent unless Mike takes it. But he also might be looking at the Typhlosion.
Yeah, I don't think Mike is going to be worried about this Lapras. Typhlosion is pretty expensive given that Mike doesn't have any double colorless energy. We probably see an Evolution Incense or a Raichu pick up here. I know Mike is going to be very excited that the Raichu is in his pack. However, it doesn't... Oh, yep, nope. He's just in for the Raichu. Let nobody say that I don't understand how Mike drafts, at least.
You seem to have a connection.
Oh man, he's reconsidering. He's fighting his innate urges. Nope, he can't compete with it. He can't stop.
I don't understand the Raichu pick. I guess it's for more of a Delta strategy.
Oh, he deselects again. He's considering it so much. Oh, he's like, I have the Executor too. I can make Raya. You know, this is one of the best Executor strategies I've ever seen, just because he has a lot of Delta Pokemon in his pool. He does have one Grass Stage too now, the Delta Crobat, which is very, very good in a deck like his. So.
Oh, true.
Oh, he's abandoned it. He says, no, I can't play the Raichu. It's not in my types. I don't have the cards to play around it right now. And he goes for the Evolution Incense because he wants the consistency. Oh, man, that must have been a moment of real heartbreak for Mike there.
Well, Vent's going to be very happy to see this Lapras come through.
Yeah, that is an insanely late Lapras for sure. And I imagine Vent getting the best basic in his type is going to be quite excited about that.
But yeah, I mean, you saw a true moment of confliction for Mike between the Raichu and the Evolution's Incense. Like, do I take the Raieggs or do I take the irresponsible
He knows there will be one card that comes back, but odds are it will not be the Delta Raichu. So
He might get a second to grab of that Typhlosion EX though.
yeah, he might. I don't think it'll end up in his deck anyway, but
Nope,
he
probably
could
won't.
get a second swipe.
I guess we should check on Vent and see how his draft is coming together as he approaches the Lapras.
Yeah, definitely. I imagine his draft is going very well. Yeah, and that is a lot of water Pokemon.
Looks like he picked up the Alligator EX as well, which is a very nice one for locking Poke Powers and Poke Bodies.
He's probably jumping out of his chair at this Lapras coming through, being so good at this point.
Oh man, does he have to think about it? Nah, he's going for the
Not
Lapras.
really.
That's an excellent card to have.
He's like, yeah, this card's just really, really good.
I would have been out of my seat if he selected the Raichu.
Yeah, I actually see a Nidoqueen from, I'm not sure what set actually. It might be RG, the one with Family Bonds and Toxic, being passed by Tomo-o. I'm gonna check on his tab and see what he picked up there actually, because I'm very interested. It's an amazing card for his deck. He took a Dugong Delta. Oh, he is scrambling for stage ones.
Oh, I see. It can happen.
Yeah, no, he's pretty light on state. Oh, maybe not. See, Flygon, Salamence slacking. Wants to keep Delcatty in play.
A Togetic.
So he's got Togetic, Clefable. Maybe he considers Clefable more of an attacker. So yeah, I can see why. I think I probably still would have gone for the Nidoqueen just being such a powerful attacker, especially with the DCE. But I can't fault him for being afraid of losing out all of his Pokemon because he doesn't have enough basics and stage ones. So no judgment.
Just basic energy, or is that any energy?
What?
The Furret that he's taking now. I think it's
Furret is any energy.
If you can actually grab DCE with the Furret.
He can indeed.
Well, that's a really nice card to take when you're scavenging for.
Very, very nice. I would love to see the Crobat G pick up here just because I think it synergizes with Tomo-o's strategy so well. Crobat G fixing some of those damage numbers and Tomo-o just trying to play a really, really aggressive strategy. It makes a lot of sense. If you are 10 damage away from a knockout with an aggressive strategy, that's a turn you've lost. But if you can pick it up with the Crobat, then you're still rolling on through. Does go for the Wally's training, trying to shore up the consistency. Oh, wow. He's only got 8 supporters.
Wow. So, yeah, he definitely is going to need them, especially with only really a pack and a half left.
Yeah. I would like to see Jared Weiss on Ice pick up this Jirachi. Are there enough? There's no way that gets to him, but maybe he didn't realize quite how strong it is. So Make-A-Wish Jirachi can actually evolve itself as well as bench Pokemon. So it is an incredibly powerful metal basic, but he seems to have picked up something else. I'm not quite sure what.
It's a better Ascension, essentially.
Yeah, it is, because you can set up your bench or you can set up your active, and either way, very nice. Mind Bend, also not a terrible attack, although he does need to be in Psychic Energy, but he is because of the Gardevoir, so... All right, the Volcanic Ash Blaziken is on its way to Mike, then Vent, then Icewerda, and then Omni Joe. So Omnipoke did see the Blaziken, but again, he is attempting to wheel pretty much everything. He is assuming that fire is open, which it largely is. Mike is looking for a very small subset of the fire-type Pokemon, and he will probably wheel this Blaziken as well, which is...
I would
pretty
imagine
exciting.
Mike's probably going to take this Heracross, right?
Yeah, Heracross is very nice in the deck. I could see Mike picking up the Rainbow as well. So
I guess do we have to follow this Blaziken and see if it makes its way back?
Let's follow the Blaziken. I enjoy the storylines, of...
I do too. I'm interested to see, especially when it's such a long wheel here, to see... I mean, Vent probably isn't interested in Blaziken just because he's playing a water deck. That would be probably the worst card for him to take, because you want fire decks to succeed as a water deck. I sort of, kind of a toss up. I mean, it's not like there's not better cards in the pack.
Mike actually goes for the Jirachi. I'm thinking he might be trying to wheel the Raichu, and he picks up the Jirachi instead of going for some of the other things in that pack. But let's see, what else was in that pack? Oh, the Crobat G would have been nice in Mike's deck just to kind of shore up those damage counters, especially in the late game. But I don't imagine we see the Blaziken EX pick up here just because Mike doesn't have any DCEs to really get Volcanic Ash alive. It'd take 4 individual attachments. Mike doesn't have any acceleration. The rest of his deck doesn't really need acceleration, but Blaziken definitely would. So he does pick up that Heracross you were right there.
Makes a lot of sense, especially considering how he's been drafting more of the Delta species deck.
Yep, definitely. All right, Vent, what are you going to take out of that pack? I imagine Vent probably takes Power Tree.
Probably would make sense. Yeah, pretty sure like Blaziken's the least valuable card to him in this pack, given how his draft pool has come together.
Yeah, and Vent is pretty safely mono water at this point.
And you would want a fire deck to grab a Fire Stage 2 naturally, so there's no benefit for you taking it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I'd probably even take Salamence over the Blaziken.
Yeah, definitely. I would in his case. I think it's just far and away the Power Tree, right?
I mean, Power Tree definitely seems strong. I don't think he has a splash energy, so he's probably has no real reason to want to. He doesn't have a lot of special energy, so.
Yeah, and Power Tree, if you are able to use it, most of the time your opponent's not going to be able to. He goes for the Rainbow energy here. Maybe his only special is a double Rainbow. Maybe he considers that to be a very valuable card. A lot of his attackers are EXs though, so he can't actually use it. Oh no, he's reconsidering. Oh man, Power Tree event. Power Tree, no.
Yeah, it's also stadium, so like it's really nice. There's a lot of nice special energies in this queue, so you pretty much can play it in a lot of matchups and feel very secure with it.
Yeah, Power Tree would have been a very nice card in this deck, but that is okay. I'm sure Vent is feeling just fine. His deck looks fantastic. So.
All right, the truest gatekeepers, I swear to. He might take the Power Tree.
Yes, I am quite interested to see what comes of that.
Or the Salamence, okay.
That's fine. So, Salamence does share a couple of energy costs with his water Pokemon. So
it looks like jinx anything. That Blaziken is going to work its way back to Omnipoke, which is
he is going to get it. he probably feels like a wheeled genius, right?
Yeah, let's catch him right in the moment. But yeah,
right in the moment
deck's
when
coming together really well. I can see a lot of consistency. Pretty much all the fire Pokemon he's looking for is here. Besides the Ninetales, of course.
He's got a Lugia EX as well, but he is missing the hole in Pokemon that would really make it easy to use. I think he'll find that attaching manually twice to the Lugia can be quite a difficult task, especially with all of the bench damage there is in this cube, because it is very prevalent. So interested to see what the direction ends up being with the Lugia. I believe both of the Holen's Pokemon have already been, or all 3 of the Holen's Pokemon have already been seen, so no opportunity for that anymore. But so the Blaziken pickup, very good for him here.
We are approaching last pack magic here. Who would you like to look at as they unpack their final pack of the cube?
So I want to look at Xander.
All right.
Because Xander has been on Lightning, but a lot of Lightning stuff has been contested. So I want to see, at least at first, what he is able to unpack here. And then I also want to watch Weiss on Ice, because he had a solid draft going with the metal, but he seemed to get a little bit scared and start to branch out a little bit. I'm curious to see where his draft is right now, because we haven't looked at it in a little bit.
Yeah, especially while they're, I guess, the new packs are coming in. So Weiss on Ice.
That is a Colress.
That is definitely a Colress.
Speed Lightning Energy is, of course, oh no, you're on Weiss on Ice.
I'm on Weiss on Ice.
Yep. I cannot imagine taking anything other than the Colress out of this pack. Of course, the Beldum is very nice, given that it searches out more basics in the type. But Colress is Colress, man. You know, it's a basic Pokemon.
It is just going to, it's such a powerhouse card. And then for Xander, it looks like, he's found himself a Lantern.
That's not bad. Lantern is Pokemon. It's a nice way to keep energy in play, and it synergizes very well with Zapdos EX, of course, that actually being a deck in the past. Lightning Strike, not a bad attack by any means. It's 50 damage or 90 if you discard all the energy off of it, so pretty solid.
Jared takes the Speed Lightning. The Chorus, he will get Speed Lightning passed to him.
Yeah, so he'll be very happy with that. And one important addition here, I'm sure Xander is extremely happy to see this Lantern, because he has that Mewtwo Delta in his draft pool. So instead of just being a tool for the Lantern itself or for Zapdos EX, the Mewtwo Delta, which allows you to move energy when you put it in play, makes that Lantern an energy acceleration tool for Xander's entire deck.
Which that's very cool. I think that's definitely a good pickup in the last pack here as you're fleshing out your lines. So it looks like he's getting a little bit more steady as he was on shaky ground before.
Yeah, I would like to see a little bit more top end coming out though. That is one thing. We see a Luxray. There is an Ampharos EX in the draft. There's a Kabutops. Kabutops can synergize extremely well with the Lantern and the Mewtwo. If you can move 6-7 energy onto the Kabutops, then it deals 100 plus damage. So that's very very nice. But one more stage two would feel pretty good here. Unfortunately, the jamming is not going to be an option just because Ice Ward already has that. But I haven't seen the Delta Dragonite,
Oh
and I
yeah, we have not
also
seen
I
that.
also haven't seen the Magnezone.
Maybe we'll see some of those. Oh, there's the Magnezone right there. Guess
Oh,
what?
there's the Magnezone. Oh man, he has got to be so happy to see that.
Yeah, I mean that's like the one of the clutch cards. I mean, hopefully he takes it, but like that's one of the best cards you could see for a lightning deck. Just such a great ability, being able to accelerate energy, and then the Gyro Ball. And we also were just talking about the Kabutops and the Lantern. Like, oh my gosh, could you ask for a better card in the last pack?
Yeah, I think Magnezone is exactly what his deck needs, and now he's got some very scary things going on, which I'm pretty excited to see. So, also important to see that the Dark Electrode is in this pack, headed toward Daylon immediately. So I'd actually like to follow this to Daylon because the Dark Electrode is the only thing really separating him from having an excellent Dark Acceleration core. So Xander pretty locked on this. No surprises. Let's hop on over to Daylon and see kind of the situation over here. Erica's Hospitality, probably far and away the best card in this pack. Lots of dark Pokemon in the draft, which is nice. Did end up picking up that Tyranitar early on, and does not have the Haunch Crow, but that's okay. It is a very nice card for a straight dark deck to have, but didn't decide on the type till pretty late. Goes for the Viridian Forest, actually. I'm curious what kind of synergies Daylon is seeing here, but Erica's Hospitality, I think, would be very, very nice pickup.
Yeah, I mean, like it's
But
just like a bootleg Steven. Still has a lot of potential for draw. Definitely can't get mad at that. I wonder if Omnipoke will pick up this Rinse Valve if it gets back to him because he does not have Way Dual Resistance just yet.
yeah, I don't know if he realizes it. How prevalent fire resistance is. I definitely want to keep an eye on that as well. But neither of the cards in this pack really have any comparison to the Dark Electrode that's headed Daylon's way. So we will have to see if they pick up on that. So
Yeah,
Omnipoke and Weiss on Ice both have very difficult picks here. It seems. Let's hop over on to Omnipoke and see what he's looking at.
okay, so we are looking at Omnipoke right now. It looks like the packs are going the opposite way I was expecting. So that Dark Electrode actually will have to take a bit of a journey before it gets to Daylon.
Oh, you are correct. Yeah. Um, Omnipoke with a tough decision here. Maybe considering Lynette's. Maybe considering Double Rainbow, Scramble Energy. I don't think any. Maybe the Skyro actually could be very, very good in a deck like this where he has a lot of basic attackers.
Yeah, I could definitely see if he has a lot more basics. The Skyro, I mean, Skyro can honestly wheel. Skyro does not feel like it ever gets taken pretty early.
Yeah, I think he's. I think he might be on like Fire Big Basics
That sounds
because
like
I'm
a
looking at his
very
draft
Omnipoke
pool.
deck.
Yeah, it sounds like an extremely Omnipoke deck for sure. The Rayquaza EX, the Lugia EX, Moltres EX, Latias EX. Ho EX is not good in that deck at all because it needs multiple types of energy, and he's probably going to try to play one, but lots of powerful basic Pokemon to take advantage of, and Volcanic Ash is a really nice top end that he can use as well.
We do see the Lynette's net search here.
I like to pick up in this deck. He only has. Oh wow, he has Claydol Great Encounters. Okay, so yeah, he's basically gonna go Lynette's for Fire Pokemon, Pinsir, and Colorless Pokemon, and it's a pretty nice play there.
Yeah, and like, what do you think? Maybe just to pick out of this one, maybe the level ball. The Ruins of Alpha is available to him, although I don't think he's gonna take it.
I'd probably take a level ball on his shoes here, even with some resistance or even without the resistance cancellation, just because level ball's very good. Maybe he also thinks that he can just kind of punch through resistance with Lugia. Not sure. Takes the Hole in Scientist. Maybe he's not happy with the number of draw supporters he has. I haven't actually taken a look at the
I
specific
do
ones.
see a few transceivers as well, so I do see some synergy with this card.
Oh, yeah, transceiver. Looks like 3 transceiver.
Oh, okay.
which I don't see. Yeah, this is his first scientist, so that pretty open and shut case in that event.
Yeah, with only 12 picks remaining, you're probably not seeing another Helen Scientist. I mean, if you do, that's fairly lucky, but this is a safe. This is the last time you're probably going to see this card.
Yeah, he's probably pretty happy to see this at this point. I can't imagine too many cards left that he's really got an eye out for, so hard to be sad about that.
Definitely. And then we are seeing that Dark Electrode. I guess we can just follow it now and see if it makes it all the way to Daylon.
Yeah, it's got a journey, but I can't realistically see any other card being taken by any of these drafters. However, this pack is bad.
It does not have a lot going on for it, for sure.
This pack is very bad. So somebody might end up taking the Dark Electrode just because it's the best card in the pack, and that would be really unfortunate for Daylon.
Yeah, it gets particularly hard towards the end too, because then it's kind of a matter of, well, if nothing benefits me, at least let me take something that I don't want someone else to have.
Oh!
Well, there goes that dream. Very unfortunate to see. As you see Omnipokes is picking up the Dark Electro, which, I mean, what else was he going to take in this pack? I don't quite see a lot of other options for him.
I think the pickup probably would have been Windstorm.
Yeah, Windstorm's definitely good.
Yeah, Windstorm pretty solid. Now, if he has like a dark basic, maybe he plans to play like a one thick Shiftry. I don't think he does. No, he has no dark basic. So he has Ditto Prism, which can evolve into the Dark Electrode. So maybe he's gonna play
too, since it's also a lightning type.
Oh, okay.
So he does have a few options.
Yeah. So maybe he's thinking that he'll go into the Dark Electrode, play like a couple of Dark Energy, and then have the Shiftry there to take advantage of.
Maybe. Hard to say. I'm not exactly sure what the thought process is. Xander looks like he's also at a deliberation, so I wouldn't mind hopping over there and seeing where he is.
Yeah, let's take a look. Oh wow, Pokemon Retriever versus Time Walk Azelf. Not a decision that I would like to be making right now.
That is the last pack magic there. That is some very strong cards to be up against.
He has 0 recovery.
Oh, then I guess it's just Retriever.
Yeah, he's probably thinking really hard because he's like, man, I have so many important cards that Azelf is going to be useful for, but you know, I have no recovery at all. So Retriever is going to be.
I would snap at the Retriever so fast.
He has an Ordinary Rod actually.
Oh, okay. Yeah, if he had, well, I don't know. It's still.
Ordinary Rod's not amazing. I think that the decision point here is basically deciding whether prizing a card is going to be worse than not being able to get something back.
He doesn't.
That I have to say I don't have an answer. With a single Ordinary Rod, a very thick Lightning line, I might go for the Azelf here just because prizing something like a Magnezone or a Lantern would be pretty sad. But I couldn't fault him for either.
He also does have the Musharna that he could evolve the Azelf into as a means of getting a draw with it as well.
Oh, he's got the Musharna as okay. So I definitely think the Azelf is the pickup in that case. Because the Musharna is a very, very nice card to have on the bench. Goes for a Scramble Energy. Interesting.
Wow. Interesting grab. I was not the one I was thinking, but
he doesn't have a ton of EX attackers, only 3, 1 at each stage. So lots of Pokemon that can take advantage of this scramble. He's playing a pretty aggressive deck. Like Lightning as a type rarely goes behind, at least in the early game. So maybe he's seeing the synergy with Kabutops and thinking that, you know, maybe he's going to get a huge Kabutops delta there.
That's true.
Probably just see a Snap-on Metagross here. That card is way better for his deck than any of the others.
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, it's also in his type, so it seems like very, very strong grab. I guess as we're wrapping up, I guess we should start checking in with a few other people. Maybe Swordell. Let's see where he's at in his draft.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, I'm seeing a lot of grass, so I have to assume.
Seems like that. Landed. Yeah, the grass has been built out pretty well. The water is basically the same as the last time we looked at it. Got a Kingdra EX, Salamence EX, and Empoleon, but nothing beyond that he had before. We could see a water grass split. It's not bad, especially because a lot of grass is weak to fire. So you might cover that weakness that way, but hard to say
Are we
for
seeing?
sure.
Is this a second grass stage one? Quagsire and then Gloom.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, you are completely correct. So what is that? One, two, three, four, five grass stage twos and only two stage ones now.
But you know, Mike has a bounty of grass stage ones in his draft.
Yeah,
So
Mike is the reason why I swear to is very light on stage ones right now. And rare candy actually only one of in I swear to's draft pool. So very scary thing to or very scary situation to be in. I'm sure he'd love to pick up this Turffield Stadium too because it searches like almost all the important parts of his deck. But ultimately, gonna need to be able to get the cards in play to be able to search them. Oh wow! And we actually see Sunshine Grace. I am
Sunflora
sure.
coming through. Wow, could not
Wow.
ask for better.
That is literally the best card
Phew,
that
must
I
be.
swear to possibly could have seen.
He has to be just like.
He
Phew.
is freaking out in his tab right now. All the poggers, just like he's absolutely on top of the moon because he got a Sunshine Grace Sunflora. So patches up another piece of that grass line, and it's also the best one in the line. So he probably feels great right now.
Oh, absolutely. I guess we should go look at his counterpart, Mike Gibbs, see how his draft has turned out.
Yeah, I don't even think Mike would take the Sunflora if he saw it. So
So we're looking at Mike's tab right now. I know he's seen this pack before.
a lot of fire development now in Mike's tab.
Oh yes.
So Mike's deck is really neat, actually. He's got a lot of very efficient, very powerful attackers that are non-EX. So he's got the Desert Ruins, the Double Cursed Stone, tons of ways to take advantage of it, and man, he has got a lot of supporters and items. Just almost 40, looks like, between
Wow.
supporters, items, stadiums, and tools.
It looks like he picked up the Delta Sand Slash at that point. It looks like Omnipok must have pivoted off the Dark Electrode.
Oh yeah, last minute repick, which is amazing for Daylon because he needs it really badly. The Combi here, I'm sure Mike is very excited to see just because it's a recovery card and a basic all in one, and the attack is not bad either.
I guess we'll be able to follow the lifehood of this Electrode after all.
Holy cow! I cannot believe this Electrode is still alive, and I have to imagine that Omnipoke took that Windstorm. Let's go back and check because I wanna see. Yes, Windstorm was the pick for Omnipoke. I do think that was a better pick for sure for his deck.
Yeah.
Um, but definitely interesting to see what kind of is going on there.
Then I guess we can check in with Tomo, Mr. DCE King. Um,
King DCE.
I sadly could not pick up a fourth one, but I mean, having three is definitely nothing to scoff at.
Yeah, I think his deck is basically done.
All right.
Oh, he got a Pidgeot.
Oh, the good one?
Yeah, RG. Okay, Pidgeot and Persian with Prowl. So yeah, he's kind of just cleaning up at this point. He's probably like, yeah, okay, deck's done. Like I'm feeling good, whatever.
All right, moment of truth. What card is he taking from this pack?
What card does he take? What card does he take? I need to know.
I don't actually know which. Okay, he's going for the turf field.
I'd probably take the Armaldo in his shoes here. You might not play it in your deck. It doesn't have any DCE synergy. It's not an amazing card on its own, but Turfield is kind of useless.
Oh.
Yeah, he's got one. Okay. There's the switch. Yeah,
He must have heard our podcast episode on stadiums.
Yeah, Tomo, though, his draft is glorious.
Yeah, definitely very well drafted. I'm sure at this point it's just, it's all gravy. So,
Yeah.
But Dale, I'm about to be very happy to see this Dark Electrode come through. I'm sure I'm sure this has been a card he probably thought wasn't coming to him now, but the last pack, the last minute, it's coming to you. So
It is. Wait. We're on pick 8 of the pack.
Hmm.
That means Daylon unpacked the Electrode.
Oh, and he's wheeling it. Interesting.
Oh, that's risky. That's literally the card that allows his deck to set up quickly.
Well, sometimes you do wheel. I mean, was that? I guess that would have had to have been right. It wouldn't he? Well, tongue tied myself. Oh, I guess that would have been the pack he would have seen first, given the math here. So
Yeah,
I
yeah, it would
wonder
have
what he
been
took
pack one, pick
instead.
one. I do not know. Clearly it must have been good. Or maybe the synergy is not obvious there between the Dragonite and the Electrode, but surely there's nothing else to take in this pack now.
No, it does seem fairly lackluster. He might not. He might not know. I mean, the only reason I can see for not taking Dark Electrode if you aren't sure what it does, but I mean, it's right in your typing, so seems like an easy grab.
Yeah, the combo with Dark Dragonite is a little bit hard to see compared to oh my gosh.
And he might not be aware what the Pokepower does, but he is okay. He's
Okay,
reselecting.
okay.
Man, everyone's just trying to give us a mini heart attack here.
People really racing our hearts to the last second.
Yeah, I mean the Dark Electrode makes the most sense, especially even on paper. Which is looking at the okay, I have Dark types. I should take the Dark with an ability, especially when the ability is like half a card long.
Yeah, definitely. So in these last few picks, I don't think anything else is really going to define anybody's draft. Let's just do a quick tab through and see how everybody turned out.
Let's go ahead and start from left to right. So let's start with Icewarda again. As it
Sounds
looks like
good.
I mean, picking up that Sunflora, he's probably very happy with how his strategy is coming together here. Any key standout cards you'd like to point out from his draft?
Just lots of grass Pokemon.
Yeah,
Lots of powerful grass Pokemon. We might see some water stuff in tandem, just because, water stuff's very nice. Very solid trainer line. Double Steven's Advice, Juniper, Admin. I do love Breeder's Nurturing in this cube. It's a very strong card. So lots of high quality stuff there. Seeker pairs very, very nicely with Venusaur, just because, can move all the energy off and then pick it up. But yeah, so nice draft. I'm sure he would probably like at least one more stage one because he is still on a 5-3-5 line now. But I'm sure he's happy to have the 5-3-5 line to begin with.
definitely. So I guess now moving over to Omnipoke, the Wheel Master.
Omnipoke the Wheel Master. I
Seems
mean,
like he's
Omnipoke
hate
is in his
drafting
happy place
Nessa.
with. He's in his happy place with big basics. I think that's pretty
Claydol is
plain
a
to
nice pickup
see.
though.
Yeah, the Claydol was a nice pickup. I don't think he'll get a lot of ground out of the Delcatty in tandem with the Claydol. A lot of the time those cards are at odds because Delcatty builds up a large hand and Claydol just puts cards on the bottom and then continues to draw. He'll probably still play it anyway because he does really value cards like that, but Delcatty definitely going to be the superstar of the deck, I would have to imagine. Although he doesn't have any way to continuously recover energy, things like a Magneton or a Starmie, so maybe that need to fall back on Claydol toward the late game as those resources start to dry up.
Definitely could see that. Moving forward with Weiss on Ice, I see quite a bit more fighting Pokemon.
Yeah, has definitely developed toward this fighting. I still think it's a base metal deck, but passing on that Magnezone is going to make it hard to accelerate the metals. So we will see what Weiss on Ice ends up doing with this. It's not great. It's not terrible by any means. Like a lot of strong cards here. The DCE works with tons and tons of the attackers here. At least one metal, both metal energy, special metals. So opportunity to take advantage of that. Lots of good things going, but it does seem like those kind of signposts, those build around cards, are not here. There's no acceleration. The Magnezone and the Metagross that can get special metals back from the discard and accelerate them are not in the deck. So probably a little bit disappointing on that front, but still a lot of potential in this pool.
Yep, definitely. I mean, I echo the same thoughts. So I guess we can just keep chugging right along with Xander, who had quite a bit of luck going back into the start of this pack, seeing that Magnezone. So his draft has come together quite nicely with like filling out the Lantern now, and he's got a nice array of Lightning Pokemon. I can't get a glimpse of his trainer count. I'm sure you could probably tell me if that has come along.
Yeah, his trainer count, 14 supporters and 16 items, so definitely not bad on the raw Pounce. Looks like his quality is not too bad. It's not incredible. He's got a couple of admins, which are definitely the best supporter in the lineup, but nothing for him to be upset about. It's a
Wow.
totally serviceable supporter line.
Azelf coming back to him.
Holy cow!
What would I give to have an Azelf in my last 3 cards?
Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine. And he's got the Musharna too. It's so good. Oh man.
Yeah, I mean
Wow.
that definitely is the pick here.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. Okay. Well, but yeah, Xander's draft looks like it went very, very well. The Mewtwo Delta in combination with the Lantern is excellent. Magnezone giving that acceleration is very nice. So seems like a very straightforward Lightning deck. What kind of weakness mitigation are we looking here? We see a weakness guard and no policy. So definitely going to be vulnerable on the weakness front, but not totally out of it by any means. Lightning does have some variety and weaknesses, although not a ton. So just something to keep in mind. But overall, Xander's draft looking pretty good.
All right, then of course we saw Daylon with the all of the dark Pokemon he's had available to him. You got the end up getting the Dark Electro with the Dark Dragonite. So he's definitely gonna have like a pretty interesting dark box deck going, I would assume.
Yep, just seems like a pretty cookie cutter dark deck. Are there any Holen's Pokemon in here? The Holen's Pokemon would be really nice with the Tyranitar, which is why I'm looking for it. But I see one Dark Energy. Are both in here? I don't know who would compete for them, but one Darkness, two Darkness. Okay, yeah. So both special Dark Energy, really really nice. They're searchable with the Electrode, so Daylon may not know that because I think they're fairly new to the game. So, but yeah,
he's coming out
nice.
with a pretty good consistency line here as well. So
Yeah, nice dark deck.
yep, moving right along with Tomoe. Of course, we talked long enough about him. I'm sure we don't have much to say at this point, but just insane deck. 3DCE, can't ask for more. Maybe a fourth one, but you know,
kind of a Grail draft with 3 DCE special charge and Pidgeot. It's just and especially with the Pidgeot now, he's gonna play 5 DCE.
To think he almost drafted the earlier pod.
Oh, he got 2 special charge actually.
Wow. So just keep.
So he has access to 7 double colorless energy in a game.
To think he was originally going to draft in the original pod, the 12.
Yeah, this seems to have worked out amazingly.
And then our reigning champions cube champ, Mike Gibbs, who we've probably seen a lot of already, but
so Mike's deck is unconventional for sure. It has not a lot of the Pokemon you expect to see attacking and a lot of non-EX. However, I feel like Mike is in his happy place with this draft. He has a lot of very powerful stadiums with the Curse Stone, with the Desert Ruins, double Scramble Energy. His strategy really does benefit from that. He's got double Versus Seeker, so I imagine he's got some nice disruption on that front. Xerosic, Admin, Oleana, Grimsley. So tons of really nice supporters to take advantage of there. I actually think his consistency might be a little shaky. So something to keep an eye on. He's got a lot of utility supporters, so the count looks higher than it is.
Well,
I think there may only be 8 draw supporters or so. So kind of scary, especially in a deck with Curse Stone where you don't really have a lot you can rely on beyond. He's got that Milotic and he has the Ninetales, right? Yes, he does have the Ninetales. So he's got some nice pivot stuff, but things that don't synergize with Curse Stone. So.
Yeah, at least the Ninetales will allow him to get consistent draw as well, in addition to the Milotic. The only problem with Milotic is that you aren't quite sure what supporters your opponent will have in hand at any given point, so you can't really rely on it necessarily coming through all the time.
Yeah, for sure.
And I guess
Vent.
The Aquaman.
The Aquaman continuing to earn the title of Aquaman with a very nice water deck. Seems to be fairly uncontested here. I don't really see anything that he might have wanted that he didn't get. Triple Hole and Transceiver, definitely very nice. And seems like it's just going to be a pretty straightforward water deck.
Yeah, I mean, you can't ask for much more than that. I mean, he's pretty much was just like, I'm drafting water, and everyone else was just letting him have it. So uncontested, that's what you want to see. So good idea identifying that line was open and pretty much took advantage of it the whole time. So hats off to him. Love to see what he what he builds here.
I will say some of his aggressive options being taken by Icewarda is not insignificant. Kingdra EX and Empoleon both being taken as very nice aggressive attackers in water is going to mean that his options are limited. A lot of Vents attacks are coming in at like the 3-4 energy line, so something to consider. But I don't think it's anything too much worry about.
Yeah, he would have definitely liked to have seen that Empoleon. Such a good card for the line, especially because of the the cheap attack costs are really nice.
Yep, absolutely.
So
But
I guess that just rounds us through. I mean, any thoughts on the draft overall? I thought this was a very fun, interesting one to go through. Lots of interesting plays here, especially by Omnipug. Wheel King over here being able to basically identify the line was open and see all of the fire types go through. But anything that you saw, you want to identify or point out?
I think people were kind to each other in general, which was interesting to see. There was not a ton of stepping on toes. I know in my pod there were a ton of people on the same types as other people. Almost every single type I think was contested by the end of it, so that was really interesting to see. But that did not happen in this draft at all. So people generally being pretty kind. I think the most of any stage 2 that was taken out from under somebody was 3, and in this cube that's not too bad. So people ended up with a lot of nice decks, and I expect we will see good things in the future of the draft.
Yep, and I have the same thoughts. I thought this was a really fun draft. I thought it was really cool to see how the mutant strategy sort of influences how people pick their cards. Definitely different than what other cubes we've seen in the past, and even more interesting to see where these games go. If you want to keep updated with how Cube League is going, especially for Connor and I, make sure to check out our podcast. We post episodes every other Thursday. You can expect the next one to be on May the 6th, and you can also check out our Twitter, which is PKMN Cube Podcast, which is in our description, where we update periodically when our podcast comes out or whenever Cube League events are happening, as well as periodically updating some of the rankings and what is happening. If you tune in next week, there will actually be a power rankings happening on our Twitch channel. More information coming through our Twitter, so you want to make sure you're following us on Twitter to get all of that update. But without further ado, thank you so much for joining us. I hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll be back with more mutant content in the future. So if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure to subscribe to get all of that content right away. But yeah, that's going to be it for us here. So hopefully you all enjoyed. Let us know in the comments what else you would like to see. But if not, we'll see you guys next time.